Here is a mesmerizing display of volcanic lightning during an eruption in the Philippines in 2020.
A friendly rhinoceros passes through a village.
The waters of Australia's Lake Hillier are bubblegum pink due to a mixture of bacteria and algae, and the great thing is, it's totally safe to swim in.
Orcas in Alaska come to say hi.
Oh, dude. Whoa, dude. Mouth shot. Oh my god, you guys. Whoa. Oh my god.
The incredible sight of a cave being illuminated by millions of glowworms.
This is after the Miko. Come on. That's my girl, huh? That's my girl, huh? Hey. So she knew. What doing nih? Tuh. Di sini doang nih hujan nih. Ini di sini doang hujan, lihat. Nih. Luar biasa, kok bisa ya? Kok bisa ya?
Oh my gosh, I just fed a moose. This is insane.
That's crazy.
I want to pet him. Yeah, you like that, Steve?
Yeah.
It's yummy,
Good job.
You like it, Steve?
Real Alaska adventures. Eat your heart out, Sarah Palin.
We're gonna share. We're gonna share.
She's fine.
You want some, Steve?
You ready?
Is it on camcorder?
No, it's on picture.
Where's my phone?
I'm gonna be over here. Good morning, good morning. Can you hear me? Am I sounding all right? Am I too loud? Looks too loud on air. Hold on, let me. What is? No, it's not too high there. I'm gonna pull it down over here. There we go. Oh, it's still peaking, but let me know if I sound all right. Good morning, my beauties and bees, and welcome to the Hive. Welcome to Live from the Hive specifically. Welcome to Live from the Hive, October 11th, 2025, more specifically, and at least here in the mountain time zones of the Western U.S., it is almost 11:40 in the morning. Or 11:40, almost 8:40 in the morning. Not 11:40. I don't know where it would be 11:40. I guess it'd be 11:40 in like the Atlantic states in Canada? Echoey, huh? Okay. Let's see. Boop, boop. Okay, got the right mic set up there. And right mic set up there. Oh, echoey, yes. Echoey is for a reason. I guess I can move this for just to show you that my walls are now bare because Mama's moving. Mama's getting the hell out of Texas. So yeah, my room's a little more echoey today. Like 9:40 there in the Central from Godless Granny. Good morning, Kelly. It's good to see you. But yeah, it's gonna be echoey in here. Sorry about that. Just the nature of being in an empty room that I'm moving now. There's boxes and baskets and stuff down over here on the floor. Of all the packing I did, and some empty boxes I need to pack too. I sold all my aquariums except for the one that Caroline this week Caroline's in, and then I got a small one that I'm keeping my desert beetles in. Yeah, I gotta eat, so I can't keep them, and I can't like hold on to them. Why? Oh yeah, maybe someday I'll be able to rebuild my collection again and things like that. I can't live like that right now, so I sold them. I sold them on Marketplace because I need money more than I need. I have a dream of vivariums that I'm ever going to be able to rebuild my invertebrate collection again. But that's okay. Life moves forward, and I'm moving forward too, and I'm going to be moving quite a bit over the next couple of years. So it's probably important that I don't tether myself down with a lot of responsibilities, pets and stuff right now, because I may have to leave the country soon. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I love this country though. This is the country I grew up in. I used to love this country so much when I was a kid. Man, I really believed in what in what I was told about the nation that I live in now. And then you grow up and realize that it was all propaganda. Anyway, enough of that. Enough of that doom and gloom. That's not what people come here on Saturday mornings for. People come here for the weird and wonderful. So we're not going to dwell on it. What we're going to do is be excited about moving to a much more progressive state, because right now I've been living in Texas, and most people know that at this point. Living in Texas, right on the border, right on the U.S. border. But I'm a hop, skip, and a jump away from New Mexico too, and Mexico right now. But we're moving to New Mexico, to the state of New Mexico. I'm not going to give any more details on that. If we're friends, you already know. If I decide you need to know, I'll tell you personally. But I'm not going to announce it live on air. But we're moving to. It's just going to be a city though. It's still going to be pretty urban, and we'll see what I can make happen. But New Mexico has a lot of programs in place, and it's very progressive. So I'm excited. I am super excited. All right, so let's go to the polls, because it's polls time. We're gonna see how this week looks on the polls. I'm talking like I just learned how to talk today. This is my first day talking, so you can't be judgmental of me. Okay. So again, this is my community page. I encourage you all to come out here and vote on my polls. Polls are what drives this show forward. All right. And I'll just do polls about what we're going to do on the show, of course. I do polls about fun stuff too, because we're going to, at the end of October, we're going to have a spookiest bird for Halloween. And we have a corvids, crows and ravens, black corvids, owls, vultures, or Dracula parrot, which are so cool, and they are definitely winning. There's that CrypticCorner alarm. We'll get there in a second. We get there when we get there, okay? Jeez, this phone's so pushy. Got all these alarms and stuff. We did one for the mammals too. which spookiest mammal. We had Stewart Squirrel, a whoop. Look how sad that whoop looks. Nobody voted for the whoop. Look how sad him is. He's like, why don't they like me? He's got like 1 vote out of 27. You got a mew, and sky puppies are way in the lead. More than half the votes are for the delectable sky puppies. So right now in the lead, we got the Dracula parrot and the sky puppy. But that's not what we really want to look at right now, because it's time to look at our cryptic corner polls and stuff. So autism announcement, I suppose, is my special interest. It's my special interest for the tism. Ooh, hold on. Actually, and also if you want to, I was supposed to be wearing this today, but you know what I did? I packed it up with the rest of the stuff. I have a trunk that I keep all my cosplay stuff in. And I packed that up because I'm a dumb bitch. I could probably go grab it and unpack it. It's just like in the other room. But I'm like, you know what? People can wait till next week to see Vampire Brain. They can just get Breedle Juice. That's what I should call this look. Breedle Juice. I need to put like black all the way around my eyes and the green on my face though. I'll be Breedle Juice. But yeah, you can vote on that too. These are just different cosplays that I've done. But for the show, after Cryptic Corner, we do our Weekend Weird. And this Weekend Weird, on the polls, we had Crystal Power. We had Mystic Herbs. We had The Last Supper. There's secrets of The Last Supper that we have to go over. The painting, it's got all kinds of cool secrets in it, because you know it does. Yeah, this is my Marilyn Monroe look. I've been rocking this Marilyn look for a couple of months now. I'm kind of digging it. So, since August, I've been rocking this look. I still have some of my other looks around. I just really like this. It really encompasses me. And I like the way it feels and looks. Plus, it's been hot. And having long hair, like all my other looks have, in the desert is pretty roasty toasty. Anyway, what won though was Vampires of Tartaria, because people love vampires. It's spooky season. We need vampires for spooky season. Tell me I'm wrong. Vampires and spooky season go hand in hand. So that's what we're talking about today in our Weekend Weird. And it's going to be I guess let me give you a pre-show, because Mind Unveils who we're going to be talking about. And they got a 42-minute video, which is kind of long, but it's not too terribly long. But it doesn't just talk about vampires. It talks about giants and other stuff too, and sacred mounds and whatnot. But we'll crack that when we get there. But I was like, okay, so this is the one we're going to watch. So when I put it on the poll, this is the one I was like, okay, I want to do Vampires of Tartaria. But there is... for Mind Unveiled, there is... They expect you to have watched this before you watch that. Vampires Unveiled. You can't see the name of it because it's behind my... There it is. Vampires Unveiled. Tartarian Vampires, Dragon Empire, and Secret Occult Powers. The problem with this is that this one is 2.5 hours long, and we don't get through that much stuff on the show ever. We've never got through a 2.5 hour video. I don't think we've ever got through a 2-hour video. But a lot of this is just basic vampire lore. When I started watching it, I got about 45 minutes into it, and I'm like, this is just telling you vampire lore. Starts off with like international, especially Eastern vampire lore, and then we move our way westward until we get to colonial vampires, which is where we're going to get into with this. But we'll revisit all that stuff later on in the show. So there was really no sense in me telling you now, but other than the fact that sometimes the people who are still here after the long watch of Cryptic Corner are gone, and we got a new audience watching for Weekend Weird. So yeah. Now, what we all been waiting for was the Cryptic Corner. So this week on Cryptic Corner, The Men in Black are pulling up the rear end, and this isn't Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. This is like creepy 60s agent entities that knock on your door and ask you weird questions and make you zone out and lose track of time when you've seen a UFO. That's what you're voting for with that. And then second on the list was Mahamba. Who doesn't love a giant crocodile? A giant crocodile, like 50 feet long. Yeah. If you want to know what that's all about, it's Mahamba. I love talking about giant animals. And also, if you like more giant animals, but Mahamba doesn't necessarily appeal to you, it still works for you to vote for this, because when this one comes off the list, another one slides in to the place of giant animals. So who knows what we could talk about. We've not talked about giant bugs and giant rats. We've talked about so many monstrous, huge animals, and there's more to come. Then we had the skunk ape, which was the new one on the poll, the skunk ape of Florida, on the polls now. So you can vote for that. And it tied with the spook lights, but the spook lights have been on here longer, so they won. So that's what we're going to be watching. The Joplin spook lights, what else is there? There's tons of them. Anyway, we'll get into it. We will get into that in just a moment. But first, we're going to, I guess there's no first. We're going to be popping over to Cryptic Corner here. I've kind of rearranged things. Give me a little more breathers. I don't know if I really needed a breather this early in the show, but I'm going to take one anyway. The musical number that used to play at the beginning of the show after the channel switching feature, which is different every week if you watch it. It rotates through dozens of different videos and growing. I work on it all the time. So if anyway, the musical number is now going to be between checking the polls and going into Cryptic Corner. So there'll be the music number, and then there'll be, I don't know what it'll be. It's always going to be something different too. And then it'll be the cryptic intro. So without further ado, I will see you guys in Cryptic Corner in just a couple minutes.
I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. My children aren't going hungry. I'll do it. I'll drink your blood. And I'm starting to think about having to eat my neighbors. You think I like sizing up? I'm gonna haul him up back chain. Chop his ass up, size it up. I'm gonna haul him up back chain. Chop, 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 chop. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. I'll barbecue your ass flat. I will cook your ass up so fast, and I'll tell them, oh, I killed a cow out back, baby. You think Christ would eat somebody? He would never do that. I will. I'm ready to hang them up, gut them and skin them and chop them up. You know what? I'm ready. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. That's why I want the globalists to know. I will eat your ass first. I swear to God, if it's the last thing I do, I'm gonna get my hands around your throat.
Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I'm your host, Miss Bumblebee, and today, per our voting audience that you can participate in by going to the channel feed and voting on the polls every week for Cryptic Corner and other shows that we are producing over here. You can vote on the topics, but what we voted on this week was a phenomenon called spook lights, which appear all over the world in different locations, but I've decided to focus on, these ones are just the ones from the U.S. right now, and then we'll kind of expand on these as we do. We'll do like the spook lights of Europe and things like that, but there are so many in so many different nations and countries around the world that, I can't just cover them in one episode. So we're going to break it up. Now, if you look at this list here, I don't know how well you all can see this, but we have Joplin, it's Joplin, Missouri, but when we get into it, you're going to realize it's not just Missouri. We have the Martha lights in Texas. The Gurdon lights, I believe, are in Arkansas. Yeah. The Paulding lights. Excuse me, I'll clear my throat real quick. I got a little frog in my throat. There we go. Okay, the Paulding lights. I think Michigan. And we're gonna ask them. They got some scientific ideas about it there. We're gonna look at the Saratoga lights, and that's in Texas too. The Ghost lights of Colorado's Silver Cliffs, and the Neosho lights are on here, but the Neosho lights are the same phenomena, or at least in the same range of the phenomena of the Joplin lights, and we'll talk about that. But let's go ahead and get started with the Joplin lights. Where'd my mouse go? There it is. Okay. Let me know if the audio's okay. Hear distant music with 30 seconds in. What's up? Oh, is that a Joplin light up there? Yeah, I do have sort of a sore throat, so just letting everybody know. And it's a little gravelly. So they're pretty white. Ooh, I like when it spreads like that. That's neat.
The Hornet Spook Light, located just outside of Joplin, Missouri, has perplexed supernatural seekers and adventurers for many years. It is generally seen as an elusive orb of light which moves above the ground. What it is, or how this mysterious phenomenon is caused, is much speculated. Thoughts range from electromagnetic radiation to a type of gas, and even that the orb represents two long-lost Native American lovers on their journey back to each other through the physical world. The orb itself has been described...
I like that last story best, I think. I like that, the ghostly lovers. There's actually, close to where I grew up, it's not nearly as prominent or commonly cited as any of these that we've covered so far, so I didn't include it. But there was something called the Levee Walker. That was it was like a lantern, right? A lantern being carried down the levee along the Mississippi River that people would report, but it was like reported like super rarely and mostly like way back in the 60s and 70s, I think. Anyway, while we got a map pulled up here, hey, let's map it up. Do I have the map on here? Just a sec. No. Okay. That's all right. We're going to... pulled up. I don't know why I closed it, honestly, but here we go. All right, so we'll drop this right here. Okay, so Joplin. For anybody who doesn't know, this is my map of all the cryptic locations we visited in CrypticCorner, right? As you can see, I'm very American-centric because I'm American. I'm from the U.S., I should say. I know anybody from either of these continents can claim to be an American. I'm from the U.S., for better or worse. But these are all my locations. And I've marked all my spook lights on here now. So I've added the spook light locations to the map. But if you get down here in the Four Corners area of, it's not really Four Corners, but they call it the Four Corners. It's because it's got, this is the corner and then this is the corner. But Joplin's right here. Okay, and then these are the Hornet spook lights down here. And they are more, yeah, see there's Hornet, Missouri. And they're more on the border and even more so on the Oklahoma side of things. We can drop down in here and look. All right, where's the famous hill that you come up over? It's probably this way. Nope. Where's my slope? Anyway, there's a slope. Yeah, you can see it in this picture best. That people see the spook light up above. And sometimes it's considered seasonal, which makes me think that maybe it is the way that the lights go through foliage.
Described to be spherical, obviously, and moves gently side to side in a pin.
Aren't you happy that we're talking about your people finally, Spooky? You've been coming to this show for how many years? And I've never brought up your people, and now we're talking about spooks. So, spook lights.
Pendulum sway. Some say it even takes the shape of a lantern, representing a lonely miner made headless by Indians searching for his head. It has been seen many times over the years.
Maybe they're two Native American lovers who were beheaded by miners.
Some encounters have been the same, and some have resulted in many stories which propagate even more myths. It has never been reported that the light has ever hurt anyone, but the stories keep coming in of people's personal interactions with the orb. Whether it is of the supernatural or not, or whether it's just a myth, the Hornet spook light is out there and continues to cause researchers, both amateur and professional, to ask questions. Though the sightings occurred years before, dating back as far as the late 19th century, the first professional recorded investigation did not take place until 1942 by a group of students from the University of Michigan.
I like the red lights. This must be tail lights. That's the spook light right there.
In 1946, United States Army Corps of Engineers tested to dismiss the light as car headlights, but no definitive conclusion was ever reached. In 1955, another group of students attempted to study the light, assisting Captain R.L. Lofton of the Army Corps of Engineers, but still no conclusion as to what the light were reached. Over the decades, the light has been studied, but a suitable solution to the question has yet to be found. Some exciting recurrence...
Okay, hold on. Let's go back to the map now that I've seen this map. Because I think I dismissed... I dismissed where it dropped us down as the wrong road. I think it's got to be this way. Let's see. No, drop me down. Drop me on the blue line. I think it's got to be this way. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, coming up this hill is where you see it. So let's look. We have some power lines over the road. Got some foliage over the road. Ooh, hold on. What's this? Is this a cemetery? No. Damn it. I was like, ooh, if there's a cemetery at the top, I'm going to be like, ooh. But that'd be perfect for spooky season.
We do got the lines up here, though, but those lines haven't been the same all this whole time. So let's see what else is up here. More foliage hanging in the path. Okay. And I'm not going to say I know more than the Army Corps of Engineers or anything. I'm just interested in looking at what could be catching that light in this definitive line. The road goes straight for a long time, though. Like, there's not a lot of curves and stuff in it, which this is in the Ozarks, so that's it's going up and down a lot, but it's not going it's not winding. Is that a donkey? And a llama? No, not a llama. That's another donkey. They got 2 donkeys. I don't have any donkeys. They got 3 donkeys. I think those are both cows, though. But they're longhorn cows. Still. No fair. Maybe it's this truck is the Joplin Lions. We're still going straight, though. Was there foliage over the road? Yes, more foliage over the road. And more lines over the road, too. Ooh, including some high lines. Wait a second. How high are those? Not that high. I like how I'm backing this truck up. It's like, get back. Back, I say. Still more foliage. That's some pretty low-hanging stuff right there. I don't even know if that's within regulations. Come on now. That's some pretty low. I guess as long as you're not taking a fire truck or a bucket truck through there extended. It's still going straight, though. How long are we going to chase this truck for, you guys, before the road turns? What's down here? Is that an old barn? Yup. Weight limit. Yeah. You better run. I'm scared. This truck is scared of me. How long before... You know what? Let's just go up here and look. How long before you curve? But this doesn't show us when there's shit over the top of the road either. It goes for a long way. Another intersection. Some bodies of water. That's something I'm missing, though, when I'm looking at it from the side, too, or from down on the road level, too. I'm missing what's over top, because that's also light bends under the right conditions. And if the right conditions are met here regularly, which they should be, it's not an anomaly, it's a phenomena. So it should... Finally, here we go. Here's the bend. Here's the bend. Okay. So this is what I'm interested in seeing here is what's up in here. Watch there be like a Sasquatch. Be a Sasquatch in the woods here with a mirror. Giggling. So I'm going to realign. And this hits. Oh, hold on. We have the Will Rogers Turnpike out here. That's interesting. What happens if we go straight line out from here? Hit the river. There's the Powwow State Grounds. Yeah, and that's because that's why this is like a Four Corners thing, because you got Missouri, Arkansas, Texas and Oklahoma, but sometimes you'll see Kansas roped into this too because it's right there as well. Or not Texas. Yeah, sorry. I'm mixing Texas and Oklahoma because I'm thinking about the folk monster phenomena. Yeah, it's these 4 states. Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas that claim these spook lights.
Have been found, though. There have been several accounts of the light getting as close to viewers as their car hoods, but with every attempt to catch the light has vanished. Also, the light seems to have intelligence. It knows when its comfort zone has been breached and always vanishes.
That light is bragging now. I didn't see this section of the road. Did you? We went like pretty much the whole way up it.
Sometimes
this seems like it might be an old picture from like the 70s or something, so maybe the road was a bit different back then.
Only to return into view some feet away. It is as if it can sense strange movement and take the correct precautions to ensure its safety.
Oh, wait a minute. They're just showing orb pictures here. This is just orbs.
Be seen most every night, but it is possible that the light does not manifest. Many people describe the light to be intelligent, generally bluish white in color and ranging in brightness depending on relation to the light.
That looks like the sunset.
People have carried out several experiments with the light, even recording it on video. During one encounter, a friend who claims to be a medium, someone who speaks to ghosts, attempted to coax an audible response from the light, but nothing happened. When yelled at or
a medium
screamed at, the light would always move farther away and vanish. There was only one sighting people recalled as frightening. 2 people were standing at least 100 yards away from the light and it began to float towards them. Somewhere along its path of movement, it stopped and emitted a terrifying noise. It was described as similar to a dog's wail and similar to the sound of 20 to 30 people screaming. The light did not move any further, but the sound rushed past them. That's
what light is, you guys. It's the suffering souls of the dead. Electric lights. Yeah. We need to go back to candles so we aren't torturing our ancestors.
Only interaction that caused them any fear towards the light. As I traveled to Joplin for my first time, I was skeptical of the myth. I had always heard many stories from my fellow citizens and family, but vowed not to be convinced until I had witnessed the spook light on my own. The area in which the alleged sightings had taken place was not hard to find. There was an old museum named Spooksville Museum. Arthur Meadows.
Is the museum still... yeah, I think it's still in operation, too. Let me see. We'll look it up. No, not here. It dragged me all the way back to El Paso. No, I was looking for the museum. Oh well. We got videos to get through.
Was the first to run this museum. Arthur Posey Meadows first became interested in the spook light when he spent several weeks camping in the area around 1940 and recalled childhood stories about the light. Meadows decided to stay in the area and erected a shack at the intersection of East 50 Highway and State Line Road. Meadows, once a photographer by trade.
That's true, Amber. In some brands I wear a medium, and then in some brands I wear a large. So you're not wrong. So whether or not you're a medium has a lot of variables. When I used to go ghost hunting, though, one of my friends had a medium friend that was part of their ghost hunting crew. That I found them quite pretentious, but like they were kind of like, oh well, I've decided that that's what this means, and I'm just gonna that's gospel now for the whole team, so you can't question that.
Realized the potential tourism value of the site. Soon, a large sign announcing Spooksville, USA, and another reading Spooker's Shanty Souvenirs appeared in front of the shack. Inside,
You're not saying it right. You gotta say it like you're from the area. You act like you ain't ever been down to the southern part of Missouri before. It'd be spooker. Spooker. You gotta ew. You gotta get that ew in there. That's how. Half my family talks like this. I can just turn it on and off whenever I want to. But I don't ever talk like this in public because it is embarrassing. Not really, though. That's how my family, in Missouri talks. My dad had sort of an accent like that. My dad had a southern accent. He wasn't from the South, though. He's from, there's like a culture that climbs up the side of the Mississippi that speaks with that accent. And the same things like in the creek.
Newspaper clippings and photographs pertaining to the strange light were hung on the walls. Phosphorescents were sold, and you could view the light through a telescope for a quarter. During the mid-1950s, the site peaked under Meadows and the colorful yarns he would spin about the light to any who were interested. Meadows even composed a song about the light that he would sing to the museum's visitors called "Come See the Spook Light Tonight." With the passing of Spooky Middleton and the subsequent closing of the museum, the mysterious light lost its greatest promoter and friend. The museum has recently burned down, so now...
Oh, yeah. I do have a natural bit of southern accent. It pops out sometimes, but I have more... My accent also has touches, because of the place I come from, of a northern accent, too. So I get into the kind of a nasally... talking like a Minnesota mom sort of accent, and I just kind of roll into that too, depending on who I'm talking to. But did you look up the line that Hannibal Lecter says to Clarice about covering up her accent? Is that what you said to Mommy?
The recently built casino acted as our landmark. The light from the casino is yet visible deep in the country where the light supposedly appears. My first trip, I admit, I was slightly afraid, not because of what would happen if the light appeared, but what would I do if confronted by the phenomenon?
I'm gonna go confront that phenomena. Phenomena, do 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 do. Phenomena, do 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 do. If that's the case, Hudson Valley is full of spirit skins. Tell you so much about the Colonial Massacre and Revolutionary War skirmishes. This is the video from the beginning. That's just the same video from the beginning, but I guess we have context for it now. It's 2013. That explains the blurry.
I'm at least halfway
camp.
convinced that there may be something out there that cannot easily be explained.
I want to go see it, though. Yeah. I'm from the Midwest, but I'm from the Mississippi Valley of the Midwest. Southern culture just climbs right up all the way to St. Louis. All the way to Hannibal if you want to get pedantic about it, but yeah.
Way up in the Blue Ridge Mountains,
Speaking
where the
of
air
Southern
hangs heavy with
accents.
secrets and the stars.
Where's my Carolina people at? Any Carolina people in the audience? Oh, hold on, I'm all blurry. Did I do that? Whoosh. Did it fix it? Yeah, sometimes that works. Doesn't always. Neat.
Stars seem closer than the ground beneath your feet. Something strange has been happening for centuries. Folks call them the Brown Mountain Lights, ghostly orbs that float and flicker through the night, defying explanation and leaving chills in their wake. Whether they're spirits of ancient
Do you have phenomena stuck in your head now, Miss Maya?
warriors, lost souls wandering the ridges, or something far beyond our understanding, one thing's for sure, once you see 'em, you'll never forget 'em. Welcome to Kentucky Melodies, America's Scariest Stories.
This channel we've been to before, because we talked about the witch tree in Kentucky at some point. I like how there's like the ghost face killer in here, though. Oh, there's a couple of them. And that one's kind of like Ghostface, too. So is that one. Interesting. Ghostface and banjo strings. Assuming it's a banjo because this one cuts off right there. So that would be... Oh, I don't have my banjo in here anymore. I had my banjo in here just recently, too.
Where we bring you ghostly legends, spooky haints, and bone-chilling tales from all over this great land.
Spooky haints. Yeah, ain't want no haints coming up in here now. Them haints gotta keep back out in the wood there.
These stories will have you looking over your shoulder all night. So pull up a chair, dim them lights, and let's dive into the eerie and unexplained. Now, way up yonder in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina, where Linville Gorge cuts through the land like an old scar from something ancient, there's a mystery that's been puzzling folks for centuries.
Now, do you all think this is an AI voice or this is a real person? It's really smooth, but it doesn't have. It has a little bit of that stiltedness that makes it seem like it might be AI, and its tendency to ramble with like colorful, with colorful analogies and stuff. It's
call them the Brown Mountain Lights, ghostly orbs that float, flicker, and dance across them ridges in ways nobody's rightly figured out. Beneath the blanket of stars, these strange lights have become the stuff of legend, leaving folks wondering if they're spirits, science, or something far more sinister. It's a tale passed down through the years, tangled up in wonder and fear. Long before settlers ever set foot in these mountains, the Cherokee and Catawba folks had their own stories about them Brown Mountain Lights. The Cherokee reckoned they were the spirits of warriors who'd fallen in battle, their ghostly shapes wandering the ridges, still hunting for their
That'd
lost...
be a terrible place to have to wonder if you're a ghost up on a mountain ridge. I mean, I'm at higher elevation right now, and sometimes I have trouble breathing. Get up there on that ridge.
comrades. The Catawba, on the other hand, believed the lights were sorrowful women, searching forever for the souls of their fallen men. These tales, passed down round campfires and etched into memory, gave the lights a deep spiritual meaning, making them a living part of the mountain's lore.
Like these images.
When
some of them. This may be an actual picture of the Brown Mountains, or the Brown Mountain. Actually, you know what? Let's go down to Brown Mountain. Goodbye, Missouri. Hello, North Carolina. Is this you? No, that's Bladenboro, where you'll find giant monster cats. Here we go. We're going to be up in this area. So there's the Linville Gorge that he mentioned. I did mark that on here, too. But the Brown Mountain is actually way over here. And the best place to see it from is probably going to be back in here. Oh, not really. Ooh, this is pretty, though. Look at this. Oh yeah, supposed to be looking at spook light. Sorry. And don't let me get distracted. Y'all call me out if I start getting distracted. Triple dipper. You're going to make it hard to see the brown mountain, aren't you? It's because you hate me. There it is, though. It's one of the bigger mountains, for sure. It looks like people rafting on it. There's the... Ooh, frostiness. I think that's my nephew. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, let's go back to the video.
European settlers came along. They saw the lights too. Early travelers, guiding themselves by lanterns and starlight, told of strange orbs hovering above the trees, softly glowing before disappearing into the night. Folks said the lights seemed alive, weaving through the hollers like restless spirits. Their eerie presence both
I love it when they call them hollers, though. Way back in the holler. Made moonshine so he can make $1.
capturing hearts and sending shivers down spines.
Oh, y'all making poop jokes about the Brown Mountain.
Back in 1913, folks really started buzzing about the Brown Mountain lights after a fisherman's tale hit the Charlotte Daily Observer. He told of strange red orbs that'd show up every evening, hovering just over the mountain's horizon. Them lights would rise and fall, glowing with this unearthly hue for disappearing into the night. His story got folks curious, and it weren't long before others started coming forward with their own accounts. By 19...
That's kind of how it happens, right? It was a dark, foggy night on the river when the lights came into view.
22, the U.S. Geological Survey sent a feller named George R. Mansfield to poke round and figure it out. He claimed the lights were nothing but reflections from train headlights, campfires, or brush fires, but the locals weren't buying it. They knew better, saying
they knew better than the Geological Society guy?
they'd seen the lights long before trains ever came through these parts. And besides, they pointed out how them orbs moved in ways no headlight or fire ever could, darting round, changing colors, and dancing like they had a mind of their own. The lights kept drawing attention, and the sightings just added more fuel to the fire. Some folks said they saw 'em hovering like lanterns, while others swore they zipped through the sky faster than you could blink. Witnesses talked about orbs pulsing with colors, disappearing, and reappearing like they was
Ooh. Those ones are pretty. Are they colorful like that?
playing hide and seek with anyone brave enough to watch. Now, them Brown Mountain lights have been sparking curiosity and spinning tales among folks in North Carolina for generations. These mysterious orbs have got people wondering, and over the years, all kinds of explanations have bubbled up, mixing together old folklore, first-hand accounts, and the culture of the mountains. Whether it's ghostly spirits, natural phenomena.
I wish you would specify which of these pictures are AI and which of them are real. That doesn't look like the Brown Mountain that I just saw.
Or something downright otherworldly. Everyone's got their own idea about what
Them old Duke boys got themselves in trouble again with them old Brown Mountain lights.
makes these lights dance through the night. Round these parts, most folks reckon there's something downright otherworldly about the Brown Mountain lights. One of the oldest stories says them lights are the spirits of Catawba maidens, wandering the ridges in search of their warriors
Why
who
did that
fed
say
some Catawba
Cherokee?
maidens.
Why does it say Cherokee maidens and you say Catawba maidens? That's weird. I'm suspicious of that.
wandering the ridges in search of their warriors who fell in a fierce battle on Brown Mountain. It's a tale passed down through the ages, so deep in the roots of this land that it's as much a part of the mountains as the trees and the rocks. Another story tells of a faithful old slave from Civil War times. They say he'd roam the mountain, lantern in hand, looking for the master he'd lost.
That's cringe as fuck. No, let's not go. Let's not go with that one.
Folks claim the lights are his restless spirit still searching night after night. That tale grew legs when it was turned into the bluegrass tune Brown Mountain Lights by Scotty Wiseman, spreading the legend far and wide.
Scotty Wiseman wrote a song about the faithful old slave, huh?
Folks round here who've seen the Brown Mountain Lights often say they look like hazy lanterns, bobbing off in the distance, kind of like someone walking the ridges with a light in hand. These sightings have only fueled the notion that something ghostly's at play.
It's ghostly.
One local put it plain, saying, "We always heard it was native spirits who died in the area." Whether it's the spirits of Cherokee warriors or something else entirely, them lights have a way of giving folks the chills and making them believe in things they can't quite explain.
I want to go see the Brown Mountain Lights now. I want the chills. Give me the chills. I am all about getting the chills. Yeah, and I'm not all about the faithful slave. Even the term faithful slave just sounds gross. Like bro didn't have a choice.
Now, not everyone thinks the Brown Mountain Lights are spirits or ghosts. Some folks reckon there's a more down-to-earth reason for 'em. They figure the lights might be a kind of will-o'-the-wisp caused by gases coming up from decaying plants and lighting up on their own. Others say it could be something like atmospheric tricks or reflections from far-off lights, like car headlights or campfires bouncing off.
Maybe I should have pulled up a video of Will-o'-the-Wisp, not Will-o'-the-Wisp, a real Foxfire. Let me see. I'm just give me a second here. Here we go. It's worth it. These are really cool. Look at that. Buy these mushrooms. Isn't that cool?
Off the ridges. Whatever the case.
Sorry, I just love bioluminescent mushrooms and how they contribute to folklore.
These explanations don't quite sit right with everyone, especially those who've seen the lights do things no natural cause could explain. Over the years, the story of the Brown Mountain Lights has grown and shifted, picking up pieces of folklore, science, and everything in between. What started as campfire tales and whispered legends has been shaped by each generation, mixing the old beliefs with new ideas. It's this constant blend of tradition
I would like to see the real ones.
and curiosity that keeps the mystery alive.
Jack-o'-lantern mushrooms. Ooh, I'm gonna look that up. Hold on. I'll let this play while I look it up.
Always changing, but never losing its spark. When it comes down to it, folks' thoughts on the lights are just as wild and varied as the lights themselves. Some swear by the supernatural, spirits, and ghostly figures haunting the ridges, while others lean toward science, looking for answers in the land.
What the heck? Hold on. That's not what I wanted to do. Yeah, here we go. Trick or treat. Trick or treat for my hive. Spooky season. We got bioluminescent jack-o'-lantern mushrooms. Pretty cool. Yeah, foxfire. Jack-o'-lantern mushrooms are one of the foxfire mushrooms. There's not actually a species that's foxfire. Foxfire is what like people in the old times would think that glow was. It wasn't from. They didn't know it was from a mushroom. They thought that I mean, the idea of a foxfire is that the foxes built little magical fires in the woods that glowed green.
And sky. But no matter where you stand, one thing's for sure. The Brown Mountain Lights have a way of capturing imaginations and reminding us that some mysteries are meant to linger. The Brown Mountain Lights are still as much a mystery today as they were all those years ago, with folks from far and wide heading to spots like Wiseman's View or the Brown Mountain Overlook.
They do look a lot alike.
Hoping to catch a glimpse. Clear nights in the fall seem to be when they're most active, glowing in colors like white, yellow, red, and even blue, floating silent as a ghost above the mountain ridges.
You know, I'm starting to think that there's just those marshmallows that the leprechaun sends out into your cereal. And what people are seeing is every night he's got to send them out. And that's what people are seeing flying. And maybe for whatever reason they have to fly lower over the Blue Ridge Mountains here. Chanterelle is your new stripper name. That's classy. And you gotta tell them that people mistake you for a jack-o'-lantern.
Witnesses describe the lights with a mix of awe and unease. Some say they drift.
Is it Chanterelle or Chanterella? What's with foxes being so cold all the time? We got them building fires. We have flowers that they use for gloves. Why are they so cold all the time? I don't know. You look at my feed here. Foxes being cold. Because you know what this fox is doing? He's laying on a gravestone because he's cold and it's black. Yeah. So you're not wrong.
Low over the treetops, flickering like lanterns carried by unseen hands. Others talk about 'em darting through the air with a speed and purpose that don't seem natural, disappearing and reappearing like they're playing some kind of game. The most unnerving stories come from those who swear the lights feel alive, like they're watching whoever's watching them. Even with all the fancy gadgets and research from places like Appalachian State University, the lights keep their secrets.
Wait, is it girls with little lights on their chest? Is that what we're seeing?
State University, the lights keep their secrets. Cameras might capture their movements, and instruments might track their glow, but no one's come close to explaining exactly what they are. Each new study only deepens the mystery, leaving plenty of space for wonder and speculation to light up imaginations, just like those strange orbs in the night sky. Standing under the stars and seeing the Brown Mountain Lights for yourself is like touching something eternal, a bridge between what is and what once.
Yeah, I'm really thinking definitely AI though, because how poetic his language is.
Was. It's a
He's meeting some kind of word count.
glimpse into a mystery that no amount of science or technology has managed to tame. Whether they're the spirits of long-lost warriors, strange forces deep in the earth, or something that goes beyond what we can understand, them lights have a way of haunting the soul and sticking in your mind.
Well, I'm
For
gonna
those
go see
drawn
'em.
to the unknown,
See,
Brown
these are
Mountain
cryptids I'll actually be able to go, like, investigate. Glowing orb people, or spirits or whatever. I can actually go out to Brown Mountain and fight them. My stripper name is Bob Wire. That's a terrible stripper name. Wires are generally not very broad.
is like a siren's call.
Girth matters.
It's a place where legend and reality twist together, where the air feels heavy.
I'm joking, of course. I'm sure your penis is fine.
Like the past and present are
I'm gonna
whispering.
go fight glowing balls of light in the forest. You bet your ass I am, Sumami. If they're supernatural, I'm gonna fight them. Leave the mountain ghosts alone. They are peaceful people. If you pop one, you get its power. They're just like they're just little floaty balloon guys, right? Just little boop. Like, if life was a video game, I feel like one of the goals would be to pop these things. Like, to go to the Brown Mountains and jump on them like Super Mario. Your stripper name is Tripod.
Secrets just out of reach. The lights flicker and dance through the darkness, calling to anyone brave enough to watch and wonder. But their true purpose, well, that's something only the mountain itself seems to know. And
Yeah,
it ain't sharing anytime
I bet you are, girly.
soon. Now that you've heard the tale of the Brown Mountain Lights, what do y'all reckon they are? Could they be the spirits of Cherokee warriors or something natural, like gases or reflections? Or maybe, just maybe,
I do think there's something natural, yeah?
they're a sign of something otherworldly watching us from the shadows. Have you ever seen something
It's always aliens. It's always aliens.
strange in the mountains that gave you pause? Share your thoughts and stories down in the comments. We'd love to hear them.
All right, now these are the Marfa lights in Texas, and there's a Mesa. I've actually been through here. Well, not right through here, but by the area. It's always aliens.
Ask 100 different people about the Marfa lights, and you'll probably get 100 different answers about how many there are, how big they are, what color they are, and how close you can get to them. The one thing most folks seem to agree on, though, is that if you'll come to this spot off Highway 90 about this time of day, pretty soon you'll notice that there's something out there, and nobody knows exactly what it is.
In January of '88.
What happened?
Oh, well, I was coming from Alpine. My daughter was with me, and it was about 10:30 at night, and she was the one that spotted them first.
I see several lights. Sometimes there's one, sometimes there could be five.
Can you all see that?
They dim. Sometimes there's one, sometimes there could be five. I see several lights. Sometimes there's one, sometimes there could be five. They dim, they brighten, then they move. And sometimes they line up. Sometimes they split. And they're different from any other light.
Now, I'm talking about 1943. You didn't have guard lights, you didn't have vehicular traffic, you didn't have yard lights. There was no electricity on the ranches at all. And
But you did have the Marfa lights back then.
Oh, sure, sure.
That looks kind of Bernie-like. It was
On
burning.
the West Texas Flats, southeast of El Paso,
ghost lights of Marfa continue to glow.
Southeast
I'll watch
El
them for hours,
Paso.
shining bright as can be.
Part of the state I'm in.
Like the love light shining in her eyes. Another mystery.
This is the stuff science fiction movies and novels are made of. The mystery lights of Marfa. They're as much a part of this West Texas town as the corner street lights.
Out in the West
They've been
Texas
here since
town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl. So, El Paso's over here though, and these are way down here. So they're not like right by El Paso. Halfway between El Paso and San Antonio, or a little bit. And Texas is huge, so anyway. But the Marfa lights have their own viewing area where you can come out here and view them. And they're out here. All right, so with that in mind, let us first line ourselves up. Marfa Army Airfield. Well, okay. Alta Vista Ranch Airport. So there's 2 airports out here. One of them's super close to the lights, too. Okay. And it's like a rest stop thing, right? And here's some trains. Train track runs along the highway here. Okay, it runs right along that. So what are the mountains that we're seeing? And what about 67? It looks like it runs up through here too. So there's 2 airports, trains, and a highway running back through here. I imagine science peeps out collecting or documenting nocturnal species being completely clueless that their lights are causing these legends. Yeah, that'd be funny. The lights have been reported by cowboys long before there was autos or planes. No, I'm just looking at the different things that we could be seeing. I'm not trying to say, oh, this is what it is. I've debunked it. Just looking to see what is out here. Cathedral Mountain, that sounds cool. I know it's off topic, but I just want to see it, if I can see it. Can I see it? No. Grr. But when I traveled on the 10. I didn't come off the 10, but we did go, we did go through here, through Plateau and, yeah, all these cities along here, but it would have just been a short dip to come down to Marfa. Maybe that's something we should have done. I don't know. There's no swamps out here. This is West Texas. This is desert and mountains. No. You get over here, it gets pretty swampy, but West Texas is dry. Like super dry and montane. There's things called sky islands, but they don't have marshes per se, but they are like more moister because of their height. Shrek farts. All right, let's see.
The times the Indians roamed the hills of Big Bend, and cowboys drove cattle across Mitchell Flat. Folks around these parts all agree that something mysterious is out there on the desert south of Marfa. But few folks in this adobe and whitewashed town agree on what the ghost lights of Marfa really are. What do you think they are?
I don't know. All this time, I think they might be UFOs.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. Well, I mean, depends on how high up they are, I guess. If they're off the ground, then they're UFOs by definition. So she's not wrong.
That's my belief. That's what I think.
Because to reiterate, UFO just means unidentified flying object, which they definitively would be.
Gutierrez has been fixing Marfa's headlights most of his life, but he never concerned himself with the mystery lights until about 15 years ago. What do you think they are?
Gosh, I don't know. A lot of people ask me the same question. I think it's got to do with the minerals in the soil. Maybe there's some kind of substance in there that does that, you know, just in that particular area, you see.
That's a theory.
Back in World War II, the Army had an air base near Marfa. The only visible lights were in town. Edison's invention hadn't made it to the...
I mean, that depends on what you want to see, John. The desert part between here and El Paso, or between El Paso and Austin, is the desert part. There's lots of like mesas and stuff, lots of canyon country to drive through, so it's pretty cool looking. And then you get into the highlands in the middle of the hill country there, and it's all wine and peaches.
Surrounding farm and ranch houses. That's when pilot Fritz Call first saw the Marfa lights.
It's black as the ace of spades out here at night. And we could see these strange little lights off in the distance.
What about the stories about a big ball of fire coming up and buzzing you around and coming in the car?
I'm sorry, I have absolutely no, I just can't stand that sort of prevarication, because that's what it is. It's a gross miscarriage of justice to these little devils, because they're friendly.
They're gonna fly out and get you?
The Marfa Chamber of Commerce president
It is a
says
long
this isn't a
drive.
publicity
That's
stunt to
definitely
boost
true.
tourism in the town. Scientists and mystery solvers have been unable to explain the hue of flickering lights.
Basically, I like the folklore aspect of it, and that is it's the Mescalero Apache chief Alzate looking for his tribe. That's the explanation.
Kind of romantic anyway.
It's romantic. That's the real
Apache
explanation.
chief?
Alzate.
Disappeared.
Researchers say that most of what everyone sees are probably car lights, but there are still some lights the scientists are not able to explain, like this one that we slowed down, shooting off in a squiggly line from near the radio tower at the lower left. To add to the mystery, our camera recorded something that has never been seen before. We named them the Marfa flashes. There, did you see it? They only last 1/60th of a second. So quick and dim, they can't be...
That looks like it could be foxfire. That looks like bioluminescence to me. Glowworms? In the desert. Let's see. Give me just a second here. Diplocardia longa. Where's it found at? Generally, they are they in the desert? Okay. That's what it looks like to me, is like a bioluminescent worm. And I'm trying to find... There we go. Like a good picture one. Okay, here we go. And they have a glowing organ that makes them light up like that. That they just flash. They don't stay lit for very long. I think wine and peaches, sign me up. Yeah, wine and peaches. That is exactly what happens when you get to hill country. When you get to the highlands of central Texas.
Seen by the naked eye. They're different shapes and different colors, red, blue, green, and even more white ones. Just like the Marfa lights, the mystery surrounding the source of the Marfa flashes may never be discovered. And the folks around here really don't care to know.
Very inexplicable.
Don't know what they are.
Don't know what they are, but something's out there on the Mitchell
That
Flat.
almost like it's burning, but that may be a pixelation. Because if you look at the vehicles and stuff, this was shot at least no later than like 1995.
Thanks for hopping in and traveling with us. Now,
all right. So that was the Marfa lights. Next we have some Arkansas. Okay, I got a cool intro.
Sometimes a story can grow bigger even than the town itself. This is never more true than with Gurdon, Arkansas.
I saw that back in 1997. The light be on one side, then turn around, the light's on the other side. It's like a glowing white light, like a lantern.
My mother often said that it was swamp gas, what it would have to be. Every excuse that they could come up with, every rationale they could come up with, there were some real problems with that.
I haven't ever seen it, but they said it's kind of like an orange yellow ball of fire that floats across the tracks at night. That's why it's the Gurdon light, because he goes around at night trying to find his head.
Well, anything's possible. I believe it's...
A lot of these guys are looking for their head.
There's something weird about it. There really is. That's why it's still such a phenomenon today.
I believe in a lot.
There's their like orbs, but let's see. Gurdon lights. I think it was this one. Yeah. Here we go. Gurdon spook lights, which you can't really drop down in there. But it's a train track that runs back through here. You can see the track kind of peeking through right there. Alright, now that's the road. Oh, where's the train track? I thought it was a train track when I saw that right there. See that? Where it looks like it's raised up. There's going to be a train track, though, because it's the train track folklore. We'll get to the bottom of this. Don't you worry, Hive. Maybe the train track runs alongside the road? That might be, because it looks like there is another... Okay, let me see. Let's see. You hear my throat grind. I'll take something for it after I'm done streaming today. There's a crack. Yes, we're in Arkansas. That's a crack. We're all looking for some head. You're not wrong. Where's the train track? That's what I want to know. Where's the Burlington Northern Santa Fe rail line at? Because that's the... I've been on the train through here, though, because I stopped in Arkadelphia, and I want to know if I've been on this train or not, because I took a train from... Let's straighten this out real quick. From St. Louis to Dallas, and it went through Arkadelphia. So I know that there's a active rail line running down through here. Because I thought the name Arkadelphia was cool. I remember it. And it went through Arkadelphia, and it went out through Texarkana here. Oh, what happened? Oh, it's being stupid. But I think I've been on this train. I think I have. I don't remember going through Gurdon, no. But this was going through some of the most beautiful swamp country I've ever seen in the world. So...
A lot of things, sometimes you see stuff that happens and you really have no explanation for it.
We're out here in the Ouachita Mountains, just northwest of Gurdon. We're in search of the Gurdon Light. Everybody you talk to seems to have a story of a family member or their friends or their own personal experiences where they've seen this light. You know, as far as I know, I have no reason to disbelieve this. In fact, I'm really hopeful that the Gurdon Light is something that I should believe in. As far as what causes it,
I'm a one believer too. I just got to be honest.
The spirit of him.
I got to be
who was murdered.
Honest about what I discover and what I believe. You think it's ball lightning, native atheist? That's
by one of his workers, or whether it has a more scientific explanation. That's not as important as like the experience, I suppose, of actually seeing the Gurdon Light. We might start calling for Mr. McLean, which was the recommendation from the ladies at the barbecue restaurant.
Hey, Willie! There was a railroad foreman killed, and he was killed out on the tracks, which is true, and they said that light was the light, his lantern, looking for his head. In 1930, these two...
Oh, he's wearing a conductor hat.
Conspirators, when they got through their work, they left. They run through the switch and derailed and made a mess. Foreman suspected that they were involved in the sabotage, so one of them followed him down the track.
It's an actual crime that occurred December 4th in 1931. Railroad foreman Will McLean was killed by an underling, McBride.
Maybe because he called him an underling. That would hurt my feelings.
McBride was that man's last name. McBride beat Mr. McLean over the head with a spike maul till he was dead, and when they found McLean, he was still clutching his lantern. And the light started showing up shortly after that on the railroad tracks.
They say always print the legend instead of the truth, you know. Supposedly that's what the light is the foreman looking for his head out there with his lantern.
Yeah, maybe you need your head to cross over.
I think that every human being at some point in their life, you know, kind of questions, are there things I can't understand that I can explain?
For real, discount quartering guy. Or actually, you'd be like the friendly quartering. You seem friendly and decent. So far, anyway.
But we all, at some point, go looking for something like that. I like the ghost story aspect of this, because everybody that we talk to seem to think that it's a spirit, but there are also some other theories that we have, because here in Arkansas we have some of the largest quartz deposits in the entire world, and there's an interesting principle called piezoelectricity. So when anything with a crystalline structure, when it's placed under pressure,
hell yeah,
and it flexes, that crystal lattice will actually generate a high voltage electricity. We actually have a major fault line that runs through Arkansas known as the New Madrid Fault. And right here...
And when I was a kid, they used to freak out that the New Madrid Fault was gonna... At any point, any day now?
We are in Clark County, right on the edge of the fault line. This red dot here is a swarm of earthquakes that have been registered by the United States Geological Survey. So as the plates rub against each other, these quartz crystals start generating huge amounts of electricity. And I believe that this electricity could actually ionize the air above the fault line, generating these lights.
See, that's how you know it's not actually the quartering, because the quartering wouldn't have been able to figure that out. Jeremy Hamley wouldn't have been able to suss that.
I think any time that you've got an air of mystery about you right here, that this happened, or then this is part of it, you can't explain it, and everything. There's not a lot.
Yeah, you think the head, maybe it's the floating head looking for the body, Aunt Jer. See, you're right on top of things. And it makes more sense that a floating sphere would be a floating head than a floating body. But I guess he's got to be holding the lantern. Maybe he's holding the lantern in his teeth?
Not in Gurdon.
We'll sort it out.
So, whatever you can do, you do.
I started talking to Mark Carnes with the Ross Foundation about 2 years ago about the possibility of a Gurdon Light Trail. And we're going to have a groundbreaking today for the parking area of the actual Gurdon Light Trail.
Oh.
We're going to create signs.
So that must be what we're seeing. Is that the Gurdon Light Trail? Okay. Okay, so it's a walking trail. Okay, that makes more sense about why I can't get down in there. So we should, as time goes by, we should get more... pictures. This should start filling in, but it's just not going to be anytime soon.
Signage and the Gurdon schools, the FFA and the Gurdon East Lab, we're going to all get together and create signs and maybe make little mile markers along the way and benches at the most popular viewing areas, as well as the actual historic account of the Gurdon Light at the trailhead parking area. I think it's something that people enjoy and always remember. I think that it's rural adds to the...
And this one's very similar to the story that was attached to the Levee Walker lights from where I grew up. The Levee Walker was supposed to be a headless railroad worker holding a lantern looking for his lost hat.
Allure, maybe the mystique.
As oxymoronical as that sounds.
And even the romance of the Gurdon Light.
Willie?
Hey, Willie!
We spent the better part of the night out here on the train tracks, hiking through waist-deep weeds and calling the name of...
I'd complain about their trail then. Be like, hey, you need to take better care of your walking trail.
McLean, like the locals urged us to do. And unfortunately, we haven't seen any sign of the Gurdon Light.
There it is.
We grow up with all these stories, all these myths and legends. And a lot of these stories get told by so many people and communities that they become really ingrained in the culture of that community. And people will actually attach, maybe some of their identity to some of those stories because it's a common thing that everybody in that town can share. Kind of like a
All right. Move on from the Gurdon Lights to the Paulding Lights in Michigan.
We
came out here because somebody had heard about it. We were just sitting around a night, and some local people that we knew had heard about this, and that supposedly it was a ghost light that came. You could almost guarantee you would see it. And we came out here, and there was actually this guy who was doing a story on mysteries of the UP, and he told us about all these mysteries that existed all over the Upper Peninsula and the weird things that he'd seen. And so it was quite.
I
an
like this
experience,
guy
especially
too.
being, an undergraduate, like it's the sort of thing that feeds into your imagination. A lot of people had postulated that it was car headlights, but no one provided any proof, at least not proof that satisfied anyone. And there was a lot of contradictory evidence. The original legend was that it was somebody who had been killed by a train conductor, and it was his lantern that was swinging. And then it kind of more.
Yeah, a lot of these are like train tracks. There's like an overarching theme to that.
Into was a bar fight between a train conductor and somebody who was involved with the wife of somebody else with a lumberjack or something like that, right? Even the locals know there is no train. There has been no train. This is not. If you look at the grade here, no one would ever put a train down this stretch of road, at least not in this direction. I think I've heard recently that Paulding is Ojibwa for glowing earth or something like that, which also is completely not true, right? I mean, it's probably some English guy's last name.
It's quite interesting. We've had people saying there's orbs in the sky and everything. We've been able to convince them that if it's like a brake light in our case, that it's really angry at them. And we even had someone try to hike about 12 miles back to go and find it. And pretty much everything. We've had people standing here having the pictures of the vehicles on the screen of the computer, and it's like, well, that's it, and they still won't believe it.
People are going to believe what they want to believe. A lot of people say that what we will see tonight is not the real Paulding light. In fact, that the real Paulding light hasn't been seen for 3+ years. And I think even what people, even the more spectacular things that people have seen can probably still be explained by the same phenomenon. And that actually relates closer to what my actual research is, which is the interaction between light and air, right? You watch an NFL game, you see waviness from these long
I really like this
shots
guy.
that they take, right? Well, okay,
Yes,
that's over, let's
One-Eyed
say,
Willie from the Goonies.
maybe 1,000 feet maximum, right? We're talking about 4, 5, 6 miles here. Because that's actually a question that I had, actually, after going through my research. How is it that you can actually see the light from this distance, over 6 or 7 miles? It should be just a blur off in the distance. Given, what I know about turbulence, it actually shouldn't be that, you can see it as clearly as you can. You're staring out the woods here, and when it gets dark, it's black. It's pitch black. There's nothing there. There's no point of reference. You see a light, and the light is actually moving, and if you look through the telescope, you can see the light moving up the road, and then it stays steady on that long...
I'm sorry, I'm just letting this guy talk, but I'm really interested in what he's explaining here.
That piece of road for a long time. That small movement, coupled especially coupled with turbulence, which can cause a tilt effect. It's just like the twinkling of the stars, except, of course, you're dealing with something that's actually larger and closer to you.
We originally just started out trying to see if we could visually see anything going on. We took a couple telescopes out, and after we brought the first telescope out, could clearly tell there were headlights, and we could see obviously 2 lights and occasionally tail lights driving by. And then recently we've been bringing out this bigger telescope. Been trying to get spectrometer readings, which is going to measure like the light frequencies and everything like that.
All right, I guess we need to get up there and look at the Paulding lights too, because we finally have something in Upper Michigan. We haven't had anything on the map in Upper Michigan yet, so and we know it's the only one now too. So yeah, Paulding lights. You can see that this road arcs up around there. But let's see if we can drop down. Of course not. How close can we get? Right there. Where the road forks. And it goes straight and the highway arcs up around. And this row of power lines passes along the whole distance. Old US 45. And This where the guys are taking their videos and stuff at. But this continues on back through here. Following along the power lines. Now the road looks like it branches off a bit here, but the power lines continue straight. Matheson Creek. And then more headlights. You got 45 and old 45. So the speculation is probably that they're seeing headlights off the 45 on the old 45.
We've been measuring the distances between the appearances and disappearances of the cars, and we've been taking video of it as well.
Hey, how are we going to do this? We sit around, we talk about how might we use a spectrometer to measure the spectrum of the Paulding light. How can we apply statistics to make to derive or to show some sort of relationship between the Paulding light and what we believe to be the source of it, which is cars. That's really what this is more about, is to get undergraduates involved, and graduates not necessarily just interested in going to graduate school because graduate school is there and it's the thing to do, but to want to do it because research can be fun.
Definitely looks like headlights to me.
Today, Saratoga is more of a look back at what was than what is.
I didn't like this one.
As this town boomed in the early 1900s around the oil industry.
I might have to do Saratoga again, but I didn't like this guy's character. So we're gonna wrap the Cryptic Corner with this one. Science for everyone. Woo! Science. Colorado Silver Cliff Cemetery.
What's really behind the ghost lights of Colorado's Silver Cliff Cemetery? Tucked between rugged mountains, this lonely graveyard is home, allegedly, to ethereal, glowing orbs that dance among the headstones. The town of Silver Cliff sits in a high valley between Colorado's Sangre de Cristo Mountains, rising like saw blades more than 14 feet, and the aptly named Wet Mountains, which top out around 12,000. It started out as a mining town in the late 1870s, and despite regular snow 8 months a year, chilly temps, and rugged terrain, a silver boom quickly made it the state's third largest town. By the early 1880s, more than 5,000 people called Silver Cliff home, including 3 miners who were walking home from a bachelor party one dark night. They opted for a shortcut through the town's cemetery, and as they walked past the graves, ghostly balls of blue and white light began to dance among the tombstones. That sure hurried them to town, where their story spread, getting muddled in the retelling. In some versions, it actually happened in the 1890s, or perhaps this was a second, similar incident.
I like this
Sometimes
one.
a miner trying to...
This voice is also AI, I think.
catch the lights with a knife, slices into his own
Into
raincoat.
vampires.
In some tellings, the whole town turns off its lights one night to prove the phenomenon isn't just reflections off the headstones. The truth, like the lights themselves, is elusive. Today, Silver Cliff has around 600 residents, and the cemetery shows its age. Wildflowers and high prairie grasses rustle and bend in the valley's notorious winds, brushing against
that a
tilted,
wooden
worn
grave
headstones and
marker?
advancing over the bricks that mark.
Is that AI voice trained on the Honest Trailer guy? I know, right? Let's go look at this silver. It's good to get another one in Colorado, too, because Colorado was looking kind of sparse when it came to representation. Creation Rock, huh? Lafayette. Here we go. It's the bottom one. Let's look at this cemetery. Nope. Here's what we're gonna do. We're going to drop down here. Whoosh. we're going to go south to the cemetery. This way. Okay. And it says there's supposed to be some mountains. Yep, there's the mountains right there. Okay. Alright, so we got a good bearing.
Plot lines. They all need to be taken care of, says Silver Cliff Museum curator Richard Posadas, who has come to the cemetery. It's his first visit in a while, so the weeds around his great-grandparents' graves are encroaching more than he'd like. The couple moved here long ago in hopes the dry air would cure his great-grandmother's tuberculosis. Posadas points out a nearby rock with a plaque on it. A monument.
My great-grandma also had tuberculosis, and yeah.
10 miners who died in a mine explosion in 1885. Some of them are buried here as well, he says, a reminder that Silver Cliff was a dangerous place because mining was a dangerous job. During the Silver Boom era, local papers such as the Silver Cliff Rustler and Wet Mountain Tribune recorded miner deaths and mishaps, but there seems to be nothing from that time about the ghostly lights.
So they're dead miners here.
Founder of the investigative group Rocky Mountain Paranormal, says the first written mention he's found of them appears in the 1956 Wet Mountain Tribune article Silver Cliff Cemetery Ghosts Carrying On Lights at Night. One evening last week, some of the younger set of the community were taking a nocturnal ride, reads the article. As they passed the cemetery, screams of terror came from the feminine occupants of the car as they beheld numerous eerie lights dancing among the tombstones.
From the feminine
There's
occupants of the tour.
About the lights ever being seen before, suggesting the mid-century incident may have actually been the first sighting, embellished over the years with claims of drunken miners and slashed raincoats. We see that with most of the cases that we deal with, says Bonner, adding that his team is usually able to track it back to something as simple as a bunch of teenagers out, the boys trying to scare their girlfriends. The story reached national prominence in 1969 when National Geographic published a feature on Colorado. The article concluded with a trip to the Silver Cliff Cemetery, where dim, round spots of blue-white light glowed ethereally among the graves. Some believers today say National Geographic published an investigation into the lights. In reality, it's a few paragraphs in a piece that spans tens of pages. Given the way the truth has twisted over time like prairie grass in the wind, Bonner had his doubts about the lights. Nevertheless, his team went to investigate, camping at the cemetery with cameras to see what they could see. The first thing they noticed was the reflectivity of tombstones, which could be bouncing towns' lights off their surfaces. When he visited, someone had also put up blue reflectors throughout the property. If you're way down the hill from there and hit one of those with any light whatsoever, they reflect really well, he says. He thinks that might explain the lights. Or, he says, it could be a phenomenon with the eerie name of the prisoner's cinema. When your eyes don't get stimulated by photons, if, say, you work in a mine, or walk home in a place that even today is considered a dark sky community, you sometimes hallucinate lights. When you're in that type of darkness, your eyes start messing with you.
I want to live in a dark sky community, no fair.
Says. And then, of course, the mind being the terrible thing that it is, it starts messing with you. And then, of course, the mind being the terrible thing that it is, it starts messing with you. Bonner isn't saying the lights aren't real, and he's not saying they aren't ghosts. I can't prove a place is not haunted, he says. You can't prove a negative. Whatever.
Alright, well, that's... Man, I've been going long on Cryptic Corner here lately. It's been going like an hour and a half. But there's just so much to cover anymore. I think I overfill my plate sometimes. I'm like, oh, I need at least 20 minutes of content to cover to fill my hour. And then, like, you know what, I'll overflow it a little bit. And then I overflow it and we end up like this. Alright. But, yeah, ghost lights are a fun topic. What do you all think of the Joplin lights, of the Brown Mountain lights, the Marfa lights, the Gurdon lights, the Pauline lights, the Spirit lights of Silver Cliff, the Saratoga lights, the Neosha lights, all of these in the U.S. What do you think they are? Are they headlights reflecting? Is it earth crystals releasing electric pulses in the dark? Is it something to do with all these places having power lines running alongside of them like that? Let me know in the comments down below. And please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time. I had to redo my nails, Hive. Yeah, just been too busy moving and stuff. But, yeah, thank you so much for sticking around. We will take a quick intermission here, and then I will be back with you for some Weekend Weird, talking about vampires. Who doesn't love vampires? Yeah, so, and we may have to cut that a little shorter just because how long this Cryptic Corner ran, but we'll see. We don't have much for Breeze Bestiary at the end either, so we shall see. All right, intermission, and I'll be back, okay? All right. Hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to our Week in Weird installment. We are right in the midst of spooky season, and it shows in the Hive because my Hive has elected to have vampires of Tartaria be our top subject for today. So, when I made this decision to put this on the polls, I was hoping it would land in spooky season, but I did not realize that there was required reading. There was homework to do, but let me explain. Okay, first of all, we're going to tell you Mind Unveiled. Okay, Mind Unveiled is a alternative history channel. The intentions of Mind Unveiled is to bring back curiosity into the human race. We don't claim to have the answers. However, we leave you with many questions that may assist in your journey. Here at Mind Unveiled, we explore alternative topics and theories that have either been discarded or suppressed in the present era. The channel is created by Soul and Mun. The positive, negative, as above, so below, male, female, alpha, omega aspect of the mind. When talking about this material, we have to be very mindful of the perception of the viewer. No form of judgment on the speaker can happen when the beginner is coming to such alternative views of reality. Mind Unveiled is created from home and is not part of a studio or high-end production. If you wish to know more about us, we include small details from time to time in our videos. Alright, so what type of stuff, there's our vampire thing right there, but what type of stuff are we looking at on this channel? Well, a lot of Tartaria. A lot of Tartaria. Tartaria right here. Tartaria right there. Tartaria. But there's a lot of woo mixed in here too. It looks like ancient Halloween rituals. Maybe we have to visit that one. The real Spy Kids. I believe this is the Nephilim are clowns, right? The Nephilim are clowns. Remember that? This one's the one that had the Cabbage Patch Kids too, right? Let me see. Let me search. Cabbage. That's been one of my favorite things we've ever covered. Yeah, the Cabbage Patch Kids. Really weird stuff. There's more. They've come out with more Cabbage Patch stuff too, it looks like, since we covered it. There's a movie. But today, we're not talking about Cabbage Patch Kids. We're talking about vampires. So, this video, this one right here, 42 minutes long. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but we're going to go watch, jump ahead to like 21 minutes after we watch the intro. But this video says that you need to watch this video first. And this video is 2 hours and 22 minutes long, which we're not going to get through. Just not going to happen. Right? But this is long, but mostly it just tells you the history about vampires. You get like Asian vampires, Indian vampires, and then we get into the Middle Ages, European vampires, and we start to get into the modern vampire accounts, the ones recorded, actually documented in books and stuff. But it's a really, really long video, and we're not going to watch all of it or even part of it. Hey, did I see Saint Germain? I did. Saint Germain. Look at that. And we covered him just recently. So we're not going to watch this. If you want a basic understanding of the history of vampires, there's other places you could go besides this too. That makes it shorter and more compressed. Not that this is bad if you're a Tartaria person and you like Mind Unveiled, but anyway, let's let this go.
Hey, what's up, guys? Today, I wanted to talk about a small town in North Carolina called Silva that has some interesting history, along with some legends from around the area. Apparently, there were Tartarians, vampires, and giants here. And I actually came here because there's this very popular vampire story associated with the city of Dillsboro, which is the neighboring city of Silva. It's basically the same city. I was originally going to make a video on this, but as I was making the video, I decided to do a full video on vampires first, so if you haven't seen that, make sure to go check it out.
Yeah, he's talking about watching this 2.5-hour video on vampires.
It's not just legends of vampires and giants that we're going to discuss. I also wanted to talk about another creepy, out-of-place tunnel here that was even creepier than the last tunnel in Walhalla. So yeah, lots of cool things to talk about. Get cozy, and let's dive into some alternative history involving Silva, North Carolina.
Well, let's Silva, North Carolina. I guess, do we need to visit Silva, North Carolina? I didn't even think about that. Let's see, Silva, North Carolina. And of course, I'll save it on the map since it's a place we visited as part of the show. And there's Dillsboro. Just kind of want to get bearings of where I am in relation to everything else. There's our Brown Mountain Lights. This is the second time we've been in the Carolinas today. All right, so the vampire, there's a Taco Bell and a Jersey Mike's. But we'll get into the details of it. Let's go.
Start off with the mainstream history of Silva. It's a beautiful mountain town in Jackson County, North Carolina, sitting on land that the Cherokee held long before any settlers wandered in. They had spots like Tuckasegee Town, a few miles from what's now Webster, until General Griffith Rutherford torched it in 1776 during the American Revolution. After that, European settlers started showing up, and by 1853, Jackson County was put together from chunks of Haywood and Macon counties. Webster got picked as the first county seat, named after Daniel Webster, some big shot politician, and sat there for years with the courthouse.
Isn't that like the devil and Daniel Webster? Am I wrong about that? How do the vampires of Tartaria feel about the werewolves of London? Their hair was perfect.
Built in 1854, rebuilt after a fire in 1888. Supposedly the railroads came in during the 1880s. About 3 miles from Webster, a new place called New Webster popped up because of the rail line, only to get renamed Dillsboro in 1889 after William Allen Dills, a local guy who must have mattered to someone. Seems weird that
He's got a good mustache. That's probably why he named the city after him. Like, whoever in this town has the best mustache will be able to have the city named after them. And they had a mustache contest, and this guy won.
Start a new city 3 miles away and make it a new version of the city when Webster was only a few decades old. Unless it's actually older than that, that would make sense.
Wait, let's I'm gonna have to pop back out of the map again. So where's Webster? There's Aldi, Willett, Whittier, Wilmot. Where's Webster? Oh, there's Webster. Okay. All right, I'm all caught up now. So what he's saying is that Webster was here when they built Dillsboro. They named it New Webster. And they built it here because of the train track, which makes sense. A lot of towns were built around the train tracks, and the entire townships were relocated because of the railroad tracks too. Doesn't look like Webster is grown much. It's just a little tiny town.
Silva, they say, started in 1879 when a wandering handyman named William D. Silva stumbled into Judge Riley Cannon's place in Webster. The story goes that Cannon's son-in-law, General E.R. Hampton, built a house and a mill near Scotts Creek, and his little girl May liked this mysterious Dane so much she named the new post office Silva in 1880. The town got official in 1889.
Silva just means woodland, I believe.
And and the railroad brought logging and mining, pulling it ahead of Webster.
Hello.
Though you gotta wonder how much of that tale is just
My
a made-up
unfinished
story that
song.
they tell us. It is interesting to note that Transylvania County is nearby, so that is quite the coincidence that you would have a city named Silva, meaning forest in Latin.
Oh.
Not to mention, as we will see, the connection to vampires in the city. By the late 1800s, Silva was growing, with sawmills and the Cowley Tunnel, as apparently there were bigger plans for the area.
Transylvania just means across the forest. Or beyond the forest. The other side of the forest.
But tunnels don't just dig themselves, after all. The whole Cowley Tunnel story is kind of ridiculous, but we'll get to that in a moment. Webster was still the county seat, but its luck ran out in 1913 when a fire trashed its business district. Another fire completely resetting the city. So of course, they tell us that Silva
And
jumped
this
at the...
guy doubts that all these cities were actually built in the 19th century. They think that, oh, these are pre-reset cities. These are from before times.
chance, and a vote in May 1913 moved the county seat over. Seems pretty convenient. Dillsboro, despite its railroad, didn't really get a chance to take off. Silva had the tracks, the mills, and now the spotlight, setting up what they'd tell us was the town's big boom moment. And now we get to the Jackson County Courthouse, the main attraction of the town. It went up extremely fast.
Is it
built
the main
from August
attraction?
1913
Oh, it does look
to
kind of
March
cool up on the hill like that. I kind of dig that. I couldn't imagine having to walk those freaking stairs, though. Holy shit. Like, I'm hoping there's a parking lot up there behind it. Matter of fact, I'm hoping to the point where I'm going to go look. Because we have Silva pulled up anyway. All right, so Webster. All right. There we go. Okay, yeah. There's parking up there. Does it still look like that? Where were we seeing it from? That doesn't look like the same building. Maybe they've moved it. There's the main street. I think he's maybe talking about the library. Because that's the library. Okay, I guess was the library repurposed as a courthouse then? But there is parking up there. 1861. Ew, Confederate statue. Ew. Ew. It's so funny, like, oh, this is our heritage and culture and shit, and it's like every one of these statues looks exactly the same. The one in my town that I grew up in, Palmyra, Missouri, looks exactly like this.
1914. C.J. Harris, a Clay Ridge local, and Marcellus Buchanan, for some reason donated over a hill at the end of Main Street. Frank P. Milbourne and Richard Sharp Smith put it together with red brick and limestone trim for $30,000. It opened in 1914, ran the county until 2011, and now sits as part of the library.
Okay,
these are two huge architects, with Milbourne also being the architect behind the Anderson County Courthouse, and Richard Sharp Smith was the leading architect
gosh,
for
the
Biltmore.
top of the courthouse looks the same as the one in my hometown too. That's so weird. Hold on, let me show you guys. And I don't care if you all know where I grew up, because anybody who hates me knows where I grew up. They hate me there too, so you aren't gonna hurt me in Palmyra. This is Palmyra, Missouri. As you can see, the place the restaurant right across from the Confederate statue is called the Rebel Pig. But this has the same guy. He blurred his face like he's a real person. Same guy. It's the same statue, just the copy and paste. And the same justice on top. Exactly the same.
Both these guys are pretty busy and have a large list of buildings in their portfolio. Now let's start here because
I wonder if it was the same architect.
This is really the only building of interest in the town. And it was built in 1913, so it's not like it wasn't possible or anything. But there are some things that are kind of weird about this story. Well, first, the hill, which they say is a natural hill, but to me, it could very well be an old Indian mound. Now let's keep in mind, there are countless mounds in this general area.
All right.
And like I said,
like I was saying about this channel, he's going to cover Indian mounds and giants and alternative history stuff. But I will get to the vampire because that's what we signed up for. So the vampire section really starts around 20 minutes here. All right.
The walls and ceilings were adorned with patterns and shapes resembling coral and elaborate carvings, giving the whole structure a sacred and majestic feel.
Here we go.
According to in the 1780s, into vampires. So this story challenges mainstream historical perspectives and raises massive questions about our understanding of North American history. With that in mind, now let's get into vampires.
Vampires, here we go.
So this story has to do with Dillsborough, which is why we came here in the first place. Now it's interesting because this story takes place in the late 18th.
All the vampires I've met were really cool. I don't doubt that there are vampires that are dill holes, but most vampires are pretty chill.
Century, in the 1780s. The issue is that Dillsborough, or originally New Webster, wasn't a town until 1853. So if the story is true, that would mean there was an earlier town in this area before New Webster, which is possible as we've discussed. Okay, so the story goes, in the spring of 1788, a man named Dr. Alford arrived with his family in the small, sparsely populated community then known as New Webster, North Carolina, renamed Dillsborough in 1889. They purchased land and constructed an impressive home near the Tuckasegee River. An isolated area in the dense forest of the Great Smoky Mountains seemed like an unusual choice for a successful physician, which interestingly was rumored to have a royal lineage. Nevertheless, when Dr. Alford opened his home office and apothecary, people from miles around sought his services. Initially, everything seemed fine. However, 2 men whom Dr. Alford had treated for gout suddenly died from
I doubt you have Confederate statues there in New York, though, Ember.
unknown causes. Both were well-liked, productive members of the town, and their deaths raised suspicions. Everybody was starting to freak out, but the local minister managed to calm the community, reminding them that life is uncertain and that death can come at any time, as per God's will. Life returned to normal for a few months, until that fall, when the minister's wife entered their children's room and saw what she described as a dark figure hovering above their young daughter, who had been in perfect health when she went to bed. The woman screamed, and other household members came running, but the toddler was dead. There were no obvious signs of illness or injury, other than a small amount of blood on the pillow from 2 puncture wounds on the child's throat.
Looking for trouble?
Something was...
I can at least put my vampire sunglasses on. Do I look more menacing with these on?
clearly wrong. Reports emerged of a huge bat-like creature flying about at night, a winged being so large it seemed...
If I could turn into a bat, I probably would. If you could turn into a bat, would you turn into a bat? Let me know in the comments down below. Where would you fly to?
Seemed otherworldly. People began securing their homes, closing doors and windows, and families huddled together, afraid to leave their children unprotected in separate rooms. A few nights later, a young boy raced into town, frantically knocking at his grandparents' door. He insisted that something was attacking his mother and father in their house up the hill. The grandfather gathered some neighbors and a small group of men hurried to the house, where they found the boy.
I think I'd rather have bat wings than bird wings. Like, but they have to be attached to your arms, right? And having bat wings, you'd still have some, like, fingers. Having bird wings. You wouldn't have any arms, any hands at all. You just be like this all the time. So definitely prefer bat wings where I can still. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be limited. How many fingers do bats have? I guess I should say how many free fingers. Bats have one free finger, which is the thumb on each wing. Okay. Modern bats have at most 2 claws on 2 digits. So at the most, you'd be like this. At the worst, you'd be like this. This would be your limitation.
His parents and 2 young daughters dead, each with puncture wounds on their necks. The surrounding communities were alerted, and over the next few days, the hills and valleys were thoroughly searched, but nothing unusual was discovered. By February 1789, residents began to relax somewhat, though they continued to keep their children close and avoided going out alone after dark. They convinced themselves that whatever had terrorized their town had moved on. Then one evening, screams were heard from a house halfway up the hill. Neighbors arrived just in time to see a black, human-like form race down the hill and disappear into the Alfred home. Inside the house, they found a young couple dead, with strange bite marks on their throats.
It disappeared into the house after the scream?
A vigilante group quickly formed and confronted Dr. Alfred at his home. He refused them entry, prompting some men to stand guard outside while others fetched reinforcements. By morning, a large group of townsmen forced their way into the Alfred's residence. Dr. Alfred attempted to reason with them, but they dragged him outside and tied him to a tree. Upstairs, they found freshly made beds that appeared unused or not slept in at all. In the cellar, behind a heavy locked door, they discovered 3 coffins. In one lay Miss Alfred, dressed in a black, shroud-like garment, very much alive, and when they confronted her, she began hissing and cursing as she was pulled from the coffin.
Cool.
But the interesting thing is that the couple's
She's the vampire. She's blood.
15-year-old son was nowhere to be found and managed to escape. The leader of the vigilantes addressed the gathered crowd, declaring that the Alfreds were unnatural creatures who fed on the blood of the living. Dr. and Miss Alfred were hanged, their bodies placed inside the house, which was then set ablaze. Their son was never seen again, and no further unusual deaths occurred in the area. I found that to be an intriguing story, and there are varying opinions online as to how true it all is. Some people claim that the story has been edited over time.
Sounds like folklore to me, but yeah.
Adding more modern descriptions of vampires. But what stuck out the most to me is that the Alfred family were descended from royalty. Now, obviously, many people would assume that vampires are not real. Check out Vampires Unveiled if you haven't seen it. But the connection to royalty is interesting because this could have been a generational ability that had been passed down through their lineage. Some type of occult practice of astral projecting out of the body and feeding on others' primal energy.
I want to learn how to do that. Teach me that skill.
That would explain the black figure, which could have been some type of manifestation of the vampire's spirit, leaving their bodies back home. Now, one of the most interesting
now we're
aspects
getting into some real Tartariaism. You got astral projecting vampires.
The story is its mention of a town in North Carolina during the 1780s called New Webster. That in itself is odd because there really shouldn't have been much in this area during that time, especially not a place that would attract a wealthy, supposedly royal family. Why would someone of such stature wanted to relocate to what was essentially the wilderness, unless there was already some sort of established community or infrastructure here? If the story is true though, I doubt it was called New Webster at the time. New Webster was renamed Dillsboro much later, when Jackson County was formed and the original county seat, Webster, was established in 1851. It's strange to think that there would have been both a Webster and a New Webster simultaneously, and only a few years apart since the original founding of Webster, unless the area's history goes back even further than we realize. Maybe there's some hidden truth here that we haven't uncovered yet. I try to keep an open mind, but I will admit that opinions on the legitimacy of the story are mixed. Still, it's worth exploring because the story is so detailed and many locals know about it and even joke around about the idea of vampires in the area. Remember, it's called Silva after all. Okay, now let's talk about giants because
no,
this
we're not
gets
going to
really
talk about giants. But we are going to jump over to your main vampire video for a little bit. Just to wrap up the runtime for this. We only got about 10 more minutes, 10, 15 more minutes for this, but we're going to try to make through as much vampire stuff as we can. All right, here we go. No.
Now we must discuss the most famous vampire of them all, Dracula. But who is the real Dracula, and how did this story become one of the most famous novels of all time? Something that I haven't really seen discussed is the connection between vampires, Dracula, and Tartaria, as it would appear there is some lost alternative history involving this subject. Everyone has heard of the real historical figure that Dracula is based on, Vlad the Impaler. But how and why is this associated with vampires? What is the Order of the Dragon, and how does it connect to Tartaria? Bram Stoker's Dracula was published in 1897 and has become one of the most iconic Gothic novels of all time.
True.
The story unfolds through journal entries, letters, and newspaper clippings following a group of protagonists who confront Count Dracula.
I wonder if this guy will put out a video about how Harry Potter is also about Tartaria.
An ancient vampire from Transylvania seeking to spread his influence into England. Dracula is depicted as a figure of immense power and ancient lineage, tied to an aristocratic and warrior class that elevates him beyond a mere monster.
He's an aristocrat. He's also a scholomance.
Stoker drew inspiration from a variety of sources, including Eastern European folklore, historical accounts, and earlier vampire novels. Works like John Polidori's The Vampire, 1819, and Sheridan Le Fanu's Carmilla, 1872.
Carmilla's hot lesbian action. You gotta check that out.
Which shaped the image of vampires as seductive and aristocratic, rather than grotesque.
Yes. Lost alternative history. Lost, reclaimed, and then deciphered by this guy on the internet.
Decayed corpses described in traditional folklore. Stoker built upon this foundation, incorporating historical figures like Vlad the Impaler and medieval legends to craft a vampire that was both fearsome and cunning. Unlike the bloated and decayed figures of historical lore, Stoker's Dracula is portrayed as elegant, intelligent, and highly influential, blending seamlessly into society while carrying out his predatory goals. The depiction not only modernized the vampire myth,
that's the Nosferatu,
but also reinforced Dracula's role as a shadowy figure of elite power and hidden danger. Now, there are a few more novels that contributed to the foundation of Dracula. One of the earliest examples is a German poem titled The Vampire, 1748, by Heinrich August Ossenfelder, which explored themes of seduction and revenge through vampirism and emphasized the importance of blood in sustaining the vampire. Later,
Der Vampir, mein Leben Mädchen Glaber, bestärkt steif und fister, und die gegenüber Lehren. Oh, it's in English too. No.
In the mid-19th century, Varney the Vampire, or The Feast of Blood, 1845 to 1847, became a popular story in England. It featured Sir Francis Varney, an aristocratic vampire whose predatory behavior included draining his victims during gruesome Feast of Blood. But here's what has been lost and conveniently never mentioned. Did you know that Bram Stoker was a master mason?
Ooh.
Rarely will you hear that mentioned.
Gotta bring them Freemasons in.
And it's not just Dracula, but many early vampire novels before the 20th century were deeply associated with and influenced by Freemasonry. This is not a conspiracy, but a historical fact that hints at something more secretive and occult surrounding the concept of the vampire, even in literary form. Stoker's own Masonic journey began.
Well, that's so. I mean, people don't know this. Abraham Van Helsing, the character from the Dracula novel, is based on Bram Stoker himself. So what we're seeing here is Anthony Hopkins portraying Bram Stoker's author insert, Abraham Van Helsing, with a Freemason symbol on his belt, allegedly, in an adaptation by Francis Ford Coppola almost 100 years after the novel was written.
In 1883, when he was initiated into the Buckingham and Chandos Lodge in London, eventually becoming a master mason. During this time, he mingled with influential figures including Sir Henry Irving, whose charisma and mystique likely inspired elements of Count Dracula himself. Even John William Polidori, the author of The Vampire, was a Freemason. Initiated in 1818, Polidori not only...
And vampires live in castles. And castles are made of bricks. Who builds stuff with bricks? Masons.
Created the first modern vampire tale in English, but also served as Lord Byron's personal physician. The central character, Lord Ruthven, was based directly on Byron, capturing his charisma and infamous reputation. When The Vampire was first published in 1819, it was initially attributed to Byron himself, reinforcing the connection between the two figures. Byron himself came from a family with strong ties to Freemasonry. His great uncle was strangely called the Wicked Lord and served as Grand Master of the Premier Grand Lodge from 1747 to 1751.
That's a hella cool title. Why you act like it's bad, though? I'd love to be called the Wicked Lady, the Wicked Mistress.
The Wicked Lord was infamous for hosting ritualistic gatherings at his Gothic estate, Newstead Abbey, which is very suspicious and implies that there were secretive practices within elite Masonic circles. He also was known for killing his neighbor, William Chaworth, over a simple argument. The case led to a trial in the House of Lords.
Who hasn't been there, though?
Lords in 1765, but he avoided imprisonment by paying a fine, walking free despite the scandal.
You can commit murder and walk away by paying a fine if you're an aristocrat.
Both Byron and Polidori were influenced by this blend of aristocratic privilege, occult associations, and shadowy rituals which undoubtedly shaped the creation of Lord Ruthven as a dark, aristocratic vampire figure. While there is no clear evidence that the author of Carmilla, Le Fanu, was a Freemason,
Le Fanu?
His earlier novel, The House by the Churchyard, 1863, contains an intriguing reference to Masonic themes.
Oh, Masonic themes. I guess let's just tag him with he's a Mason. Yeah. I love Carmilla, though. I kind of wish Carmilla had taken off instead of Dracula, but Dracula is the patriarchy, and Carmilla would be feminism.
Quote, "The sourest dog I ever broke bread with, and Mason, if you please, by Jove, a Prince Pelican. He supped at the Grand Lodge after labor one night."
He subbed? That's alright, it's okay to be a switch hitter sometimes.
"You're not a Mason? I see. Tipped you the sign." End quote. He's describing this ugly, displeasing to look at Mason as not just a regular member, but a member of a royal secret society, hinting toward the Rosicrucians. Which is interesting because the mother pelican represents sacrifice.
You mean he's trying to insert contemporary politics and social movements into his story writing to help sell the narrative as immersive? You don't say.
With her babies feeding on her own blood. Then it mentions dining at the Grand Lodge after work, at night, before directly saying, "You're not a Mason? I see. Tipped you the sign." Openly referencing secret gestures only recognizable to those within the order.
But now we know them all, so remember, this means sign of an axe intrigue. You gotta do that. You're calming your dog while you hail a taxi cab or while you wave at your friend across the park. So you're paused waving at your friend while you pet your dog. And then this one is you're jerking off your other friend while waving at your friend across the park. So then you got to do this one, which is sort of wiping up the mess after you jerk off your friend in the park.
Are we really to believe that this guy isn't a Mason?
This
And
is the original YMCA? That'd be funny. Fun to stay at the YM... Oh, I did it backwards. Fun to stay at the Y... Fun to stay at the YMCA.
The female vampire is Countess Mercala, who comes from a noble bloodline and is deeply tied to themes of secrecy and seduction. Her vampirism is not just a random affliction either. It's presented as tied to her ancient lineage, almost like an inheritance or privilege, like a passed down rite or even ritual. Another interesting detail in this novel
That should have scared away any new viewers, right?
is that the vampire appears youthful, yet has experienced centuries, implying that her vampirism, or this occult knowledge, is what keeps her young.
Maybe
She's
Ethelbert Bathory.
Is basically a lesbian vampire story.
Mm-hmm.
Another common motif of early 19th century vampire literature is the sexual and manipulative nature of these creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Carmilla's aristocratic lineage is
That's what I lean into.
tied to a house named Karnstein, which emphasizes that she's not a creature of the night, but is actually part of an inherited legacy. Her vampirism is not a curse, but a part of an ancient system of power and secrecy. Quote, "And this was once the palatial residence of the Karnsteins," said the old general at length. As far from a great window, he looked out across the village and saw the wide, undulating expanse of forest. It was a bad family, and here its blood-stained annals were written, he continued. It is hard that they should, after death, continue to plague the human race with their atrocious lust. End quote.
Maybe that's going to happen to me too. You want my atrocious lust to descend upon you?
The author's name even translates to the Fawn, a symbol often associated with Freemasonry and the concept of
That proves vampires.
Sexual predators, as Pan, the god of lust and
Horny
physical
goat
satisfaction, is one of its primary archetypes. The name Karnstein has evolved in vampire lore, notably inspiring the Karnstein trilogy of films. In La Fille de Dracula, the name appears as Karlstein, which could be connected to the Karlstein Castle near Prague.
Or it could be a homage to Boris Karloff and Frankenstein. Just a thought. As a lot of the horror directors will do that nod to the works of the people who inspired them.
Founded in 1348 by Charles IV, this Gothic castle was designed to safeguard imperial regalia and holy relics. It's noteworthy that Carinthia, German Karnten, is a region southwest of Styria, aligning with the setting of Le Fanu's novel. Le Fanu may have drawn inspiration from the area, possibly influencing his choice of the name Karnstein, and some suggest that it was based on an actual family name that is now lost. In the movie Lust for a Vampire, one of the films in the Karnstein trilogy, there is an interesting scene where the history of the Karnstein family is discussed. While it's
fictional, though. I mean, somebody wrote it. You think everything's real?
May be fictional, it does offer a glimpse into their lore. A teacher explains how much of Karnstein's history has been lost, noting that the first recorded mention of the family appears in the now lost Styrian Chronicles of 1187, which is described as the equivalent of England's Doomsday Book.
Ooh.
This detail is based
Maybe we need a doomsday stream.
on an actual English manuscript, making it an interesting connection worth bringing up. Additionally, the coat of arms associated with the Styria region features what is described as a white panther. However, it is actually breathing fire, and this same design can also be found on shields that include a griffin or a dragon. Now let's discuss Varney the Vampire.
Hot.
While the author Reimer is not clearly a Freemason, although it has been suggested that he was.
Feast of Blood is a hella album cover or album name.
Was actually a Mason.
album
The
title.
publisher of Varney and other popular stories like Sweeney Todd, Edward Lloyd, was indeed a Freemason. Edward Lloyd had a policy where authors were not allowed to put their name on their published work, so in the original cover you only see his name. This is most likely where the idea for fangs on a vampire came from, but yet again, we have a wealthy aristocrat as a vampire. According to Varney, he was cursed with
Inspiration drawn from previous aristocratic vampires and went on to inspire future aristocratic vampires.
vampirism after he betrayed a royalist
Hi, Eric.
to Oliver Cromwell and subsequently killed his own son accidentally in a fit of anger. Oliver Cromwell is a real historical figure, and interestingly enough, was accused in the 18th century of founding Freemasonry. This theory was put forward by Abbé Loredan, an 18th century French Catholic writer who claimed in 1745 that Cromwell founded and initiated his closest friends into Freemasonry. Whether this claim is true
Cromwell invented Freemasonry? I don't think so.
or not remains debated by Masons to this day. However,
When do we get to the adrenochrome, right? Same song, different century.
this indisputably connects Freemasons to vampires once again, as this is the very act that led to Varney becoming a vampire. This is only the beginning of the elite and secret society connections to the literary vampire. As we have noted, every single early vampire novel was either influenced by or directly written by Freemasons, a historical fact that is conveniently glossed over. With this in mind, we can delve further into the real historical connections behind Dracula and then examine how this all ties together.
Yeah,
Okay,
tie it
let's
together.
discuss Vlad the Impaler, commonly
speed it up,
acknowledged
though.
as the real Dracula. No, I'm not gonna approach this as other videos or documentaries have, as I feel they're missing the alternative history aspect to all of this. But to begin, let's briefly connect Vlad to Dracula and discuss the meaning of Dracula itself. The name Dracula derives
Son
from
of
the
the- son
Romanian
of the
Draculia,
dragon.
meaning son of Dracul. Vlad's father, Vlad II, was a member of the Order of the Dragon, a chivalric order established to protect Christianity, which earned him the title Dracul, or the Dragon. Thus, Vlad
To protect Christianity from Islam by impaling people.
III inherited the name, linking him directly to the sinister connotations that would later inspire Stoker's vampire. But is that the only connection linking them? This is what we're told about Vlad III in mainstream history. Vlad III
Yeah, that's probably what it's based on. This is that's the character it's based on. Probably Sapphire is Carmilla. Carmilla is actually older than Dracula, though.
known as Vlad the Impaler, was born in 1431 in Transylvania. He ruled Wallachia 3 separate times between 1448 and 1476. Vlad earned his infamous title due to his preferred method of execution, impaling enemies on stakes. A gruesome display meant to instill fear in his foes and cement his authority.
It kind of looks like he's doing this.
He is celebrated as a hero in Romania for his defense against the Ottoman Empire, but equally reviled elsewhere for his brutal tactics. Interestingly, there is a locality named Tartaria in Romania, where there are the Tartaria tablets, clay tablets with signs on them that were discovered to be around 5,000 years old, older than the cuneiform writing in
Neolithic.
Mesopotamia. According to PhD and expert on Hungarian history, Tibor Barat, in his Prehistory of the Hungarian Peoples, states that the runic signs on the Tartaria disc correspond to the Scythian Hun Hungarian runic script. If you're new to Tartaria, I suggest checking out the Tartaria playlist, but as we discussed,
Oh, we're not new to Tartaria, baby. We are veterans. My hive consists of 100% Tartarian veterans. We have ridden the orphan trains among the Cabbage Patch Kids, right? We have conquered star forts and slain giants.
discussed in other videos, the Tartarians are the Scythians. Tartaria is referenced on several old maps with references to ancient Scythia. Not only that, but the flag for Tartaria was the dragon. But what is the relationship to Transylvania and Vlad the Impaler? The Scythians were the Dragon Empire. According to Greek mythology, the Dracaena Scythia was the first ruler of the land of Scythia. She was a woman from the waist up with the tail of a serpent in place of legs. When Hercules was traveling
Right now, I could have the tail of a serpent in the place of legs, but you wouldn't even know.
through her realm with the cattle of Geryon, she stole some of the herd and insisted the hero mate with her before she would return them. He did so, and through her became the ancestor of a line of Scythian kings. Here is an illustration of Parthian cavalrymen with a dragon banner. Originally a Scythian group from Central Asia, the Arsacids, known in Greek and Roman accounts as the Parthians, founded a powerful empire that at its zenith ruled a vast territory stretching from Central Asia to
Only got a couple of minutes left.
Syria, and from Armenia to the Persian Gulf. The armies of the Arsacid, Parthian Empire, were some of the most accomplished, efficient, and feared of all military forces of antiquity. Here are some Sarmatian mercenaries in Roman service carrying a Draco. The Dacian Draco was a 188. The Hungarians traced their lineage to the White Huns, a branch of the Scythians, whose migrations across Eurasia left indelible marks on various cultures. A small faction.
Oh, the white conqueror, the white Aryan conqueror hypothesis. Hypothesis is all it ever was. When I was a kid, the book we had on the history of early human migration, it just presented that as the truth for until I was an adult before I realized that there wasn't this mighty force of white people from the Central Asian steppes that brought civilization to the world, because that was presented to me as fact. There's history of this. They're the people who invented the chariot, and they spread it. They spread their culture all over. It inspired the empires of India, the kingdoms of the Middle East, and all the prosperity of Europe. All stems from this, and it was all bullshit.
Of Scythians, driven by events lost to time, ventured into Egypt and intermarried to become known as the Hyksos, establishing themselves as rulers of Egypt. From the Hyksos, there came corruption, and arose the Atenist faction, which reorganized their power into a monotheistic cult centered on Aten, the solar deity. This cult later dispersed.
The vampires would be enemies of the solar deity because, the sun.
In global events and traditions, including the invasion of Ireland by the Milesians. This invasion marked a critical turning point in the beginning of the annihilation of the earlier dragon elven race, a mystical and advanced people whose tradition and knowledge were targeted for destruction. The Atenists preserved fragments of the original dragon court, though in a corrupted form, embedding these elements into secret orders that eventually influenced Freemasonry. The Merovingians, believed to descend from the dragon lineage, maintained this bloodline and were known for their distinct red hair, a trait symbolizing their Scythian heritage. Their lineage was intimately tied to the esoteric lore of the Holy Grail, representing the preservation of mystical and genealogical power.
Oh, there's so much deep lore here, guys. So much deep Tartarian lore, but we are out of time. So there's just not enough time in the day to cover the history of vampires in Tartaria with all the respect and renown that it deserves. Am I right? Am I right, Hive? What do you think, though? What do you think of vampires? Are they an ancient Tartarian royal lineage from the Scythians? Did they invade small towns in North Carolina? I don't know, but you can give me your theories down below in the comments, and we'll discuss it. Until next time, please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see ya. All right. Yes, of course it's bastardizing the history, and that's what Mind Unveiled does with their weirdness. All right, so what's going to happen now is I'm going to take this is the last intermission. Take a quick break, go to the bathroom, and then when I get back, we are going to spend the end of the show talking about an incident of a man-eating alligator. So I'll see you back here in just a few minutes, okay?
I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down.
All right, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to the Autumn of the Maneater on Breeze Bestiary. Rolled right in from Summer of the Maneater to Autumn of the Maneater, and I'm here for it because there's a lot of man-eating to talk about. Now, when it comes to man-eating reptiles, crocodiles take the cake, right? Crocodiles are what people think when you say, I got attacked by a man-eating reptile. Crocodiles are athletic and powerful macro predators of mammalian prey and ambush predators, and they're huge, and they live in salt and fresh water. They're terrifying, and people get to thinking about them, and it kind of downplays the threat that an alligator actually poses. So alligators are a group of crocodilians, and they are very distinct in their physique and their behavior and their ecology. They exist only in two places in the world: in the southeastern United States and in China. And the Chinese alligator is tiny. A Chinese alligator is sometimes called a dwarf alligator. They rarely get over 2 meters long. They're very small. American alligators, on the other hand, can get quite huge. They can be absolutely massive, and they can definitely, though they're less likely to do it than a crocodile, they can definitely take humans. Their populations are most prominent in Florida and Louisiana, and they live in almost all bodies of water in those states and across the South in general. But in those states, they have the domineering population, right? But their attacks are not nearly as common as crocodiles. But alligators do have some things going for them when it comes to survival. Like, they can survive colder temperatures than crocodiles can. So alligators tend to, like, the northern reaches of the alligator's territory, I believe, is the boot heel of Missouri. And they go west into central Texas. So, and then I believe they can be seen all as far north as North Carolina along the coast. So, they have a huge range that crocodiles can't even come close to, because crocodiles can't leave like a subtropical region. They can't have a winter where it freezes. Alligators literally stick their noses up out of the water through the ice when it freezes over. But alligators are still dangerous, especially to children and older folks and things like that. And we're going to find out today about a case of mistaken identity, really. This wasn't even really the alligator's fault, but the story is going to be presented to us by Disaster Stories. It's a channel I'm not familiar with. Let's see, they have a lot of videos about crashes, and there's the submarine disaster. There's the person getting eaten by the orca. Shark attacks. Is that a marlin killing somebody? Was somebody killed by a marlin while surfing? None of these pictures are real. They're all AI, but there's somebody eaten by their snake. Strangled by giant boa constrictor. But this is the story we're looking at today. It's the terrifying last minute of Gloria Surge eaten by alligator. She wasn't actually eaten. That's not even true.
It's too Oh my God!
In almost all of Florida's freshwater areas lies a hidden danger, the silent and deadly alligator. But people living around lakes and ponds can become less cautious. Sometimes accidents happen. The retirement community of Spanish Lakes Fairways was established in the mid-1980s. Located in Fort Pierce, Florida,
Do you imagine that happening to your dog? I'd be so sad.
spans 435 acres and is home to around 3,000 residents. One of the residents of Spanish Lakes Fairways was Gloria Surge. She had moved there nearly 30 years ago. It was a place where people over 55 years old could enjoy retirement and relax in a scenic setting, with facilities such as a heated swimming pool, tennis courts, a golf course, a gym, a sauna such as a heated swimming pool, tennis courts, a golf
There's that
course.
massive alligator that's so famous for living on the golf course. He's so huge. Look how bulky he is.
A gym, a sauna, pickleball courts, a restaurant, a retention pond, and a dog park. It had everything anyone could ever wish for. The retention pond was a central
You gotta have those pickleball courts.
point where the community was encouraged to socialize, walk around the edge, and even fish from the banks or in small wooden boats. One of the pond's inhabitants was Henry, a 10-foot-long alligator. Unlike most freshwater springs in Florida, this pond had no warning signs about the presence of alligators. Although many residents knew Henry, he was generally considered a quiet animal that had never caused problems in the 37
Yeah, this was not the alligator's fault.
years that Spanish Lakes had existed. Henry was well known to locals, who often fed him scraps of food and
That's a problem. You are the problem. If you are feeding Henry scraps, not our Henry puppy is a good boy. You can feed him scraps when you come visit, but you don't feed the alligators.
chicken from the grassy banks. Despite being treated as a community pet, Henry remained a dangerous and potentially life-threatening predator, and it was only a matter of time before something happened. Gloria lived alone. She owned her property at 14313 Aguila Avenue, Fort Pierce. She was a widow with 5 adult children and also blessed with 15 grandchildren and 9 great-grandchildren. She was the head of the family, and it was clear just how much her loved ones meant to her. But Gloria was also a beloved member of the gated community. She and her husband Charlie, who passed away several years before, were renowned for helping others in the area. Charlie had been in charge of bocce, or boule, for the residents, and the couple enjoyed playing it together. Gloria was also very active in the community's New Jersey Club for former residents of the state. One of Gloria's loves in life was her beloved dog Trooper. He was a Shih Tzu, black and white, and full of energy. Taking Trooper for a walk was one of Gloria's daily activities, but she had received a violation and eviction warning after being found walking him outside her front yard and along the streets. Dogs were
That's why HOAs suck. Ugh.
discouraged from being walked in the streets and in non-designated areas of the community. Wind Building Corporation, who owned and operated Spanish Lakes, were strict on where dogs could be exercised, and despite having lived in the community for almost 3 decades, Gloria was given no special treatment. She would have to walk Trooper around the pond just like everybody else. But Gloria was skeptical about walking her dog there. She didn't feel safe having to walk so close to the retention pond. Henry was just one of a number of resident alligators in the pond. Gloria was right to feel nervous about the designated dog walking area. It was late morning on Monday, February 20th, 2023. Gloria stepped outside her
Trying
home
to
with
find Spanish Lakes, but there's a few different places called Spanish Lakes. Let me see here. Here we go. Spanish Lakes Villa Golf Course. And there's a lot of a lot of water here. Hold on. Pull it over. There we go. It actually said her address a minute ago, too. What was the address? It was before the dog, though. It was right before the family thing.
happened. Gloria lived alone. She owned her property at 14313 Aguila Avenue, Fort Pierce. She was a widow with
14313. Aguila Avenue, Fort Pierce, Florida. Okay. So not even close to where we were. Way further south. We were all the way up there by Augustine. So that's like I'm saying, there's too many places with the same name. Oh, that's not what I wanted either. Yeah. Spanish Lakes Fairway. Okay, so she lived right down here. We drop down there? We sure can. Aw, they're cute little houses, though. How do you get to the water, though? Oh, I was looking the wrong way. I just wanted to get a look at the backyards here. This is in 2024. And that's the, I guess that's, I mean, this is the body of water he lived in, right? And it went up and around here. He really didn't have too much cover either, like to hide in. I imagine he probably at least moved between these two, though. Like, into this water. If not moving directly in between this and this, by just going through people's yards, because gators don't care. He'll go where he wants to go. How far into this were we?
Gloria seemed unaware of the impending danger. Skeptical about walking, Hive began silently with the dog there. She didn't feel safe having to walk so close to the retention pond. Henry was just one of a number of resident alligators in the pond. Gloria was right to feel nervous about the designated dog walking area. It was late morning on Monday, February 20th, 2023. Gloria stepped outside her home with Trooper and walked towards the pond. It was a sunny day. The surface of the pond was deceptively calm. As Gloria stopped to let Trooper sniff by the water's edge, a bow wave began silently but deadly motoring towards her. The danger stalked closer from over 100 feet away.
Henry.
Only a pair of nostrils and bulging eyes could be seen, gliding
That's not an
steadily
alligator, by the way.
in
That's
Gloria's
actually a
direction.
crocodile.
But Gloria seemed unaware of the impending danger. She looked along the edge of the pond, lost in thought. She was, however, only seconds away
Pretty
from
sure
an
that's
attack.
a crocodile too.
A CCTV camera captured the bow wave heading straight for the pensioner and her dog. When the wave reached the shore, an alligator burst out of the water onto the land. It was Henry. Although he didn't capture the dog immediately, he
That's
chased
a Cuban
after
crocodile.
it. The alligator was remarkably quick on dry land. Only when it was next to Gloria did she realize what it was and what was going on. But the
puts herself
dog was
between her
secured
and
on a
the
leash
dog and-
in a few horrifying
Ooh,
seconds.
thank you, Eric. Eric the Wanderer. Hold on, I got sneezed. I sneezed. All right. Eric, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. One went to Ember. Yay! One went to Lil of All Trades. Woohoo! One went to Wild World Tom. Woo! One went to DeFreak. Welcome to the Hive, DeFreak. And one went to Elemento P. And welcome to the Hive. Stomp across the chat with your Bigfoot prints if you're here.
Gloria
Appreciate
tried
you,
to pull
Eric.
the dog away as the alligator scuttled past her. Trooper was the target. Trooper was the prey. The tiny dog jumped out of the way. But when Gloria pulled on the leash, she slipped and fell forward, landing on the ground right next to the 10-foot-long reptile. The alligator turned its head, snapped its jaws, and grabbed Gloria by her left foot. In an instant, she was dragged across the ground to the water. With a bite force of more than 2,000 psi, it felt like her foot was in a vice. Gloria could...
Now, alligators usually prey on... Now, that's the difference between alligators and crocodiles, is they usually prey on things that are smaller than them. Whereas, I mean, they can eat big prey. They do. You know, they'll eat deer and stuff like that, but their main focus prey is bite-sized stuff. Raccoons, rabbits, cats, dogs.
Not break free as she was pulled toward the pond. Her 76-year-old neighbor, Carol Thomas, looked out of her bedroom window. It was about 12 p.m. and she had seen the whole thing. Carol rushed outside and towards the lake, but Gloria had disappeared. She immediately dialed 911.
Oh, man.
Screaming
I bet that's going to be hot. 12 p.m. out walking your dog in Florida.
Down the phone for help. A second later,
Alligator has a woman. How big is it? It's a huge gator. It's huge.
Gloria came up for air, gasping and splashing around in the water. She wiped her hair out of her face, unable to see clearly, trying desperately to pull herself towards dry land. But the alligator still had hold of her leg, under the water. "Gloria, swim toward the paddle boat," yelled Carol. She was pointing at an upturned boat in the edge of the pond. If the elderly woman could get onto that...
Is the paddle boat really safe on this water? If there's a 10-foot alligator living in there?
Then Carol felt she could pull her ashore. But Gloria shouted that she couldn't break free. "I can't. The gator has me," she said. With millions of years of hunting instinct behind it, the 700-pound, 300-kilogram alligator wasn't letting go. Carol looked around desperately for something that could help.
Oh, man.
She grabbed a wrought iron pole that was used for hanging outdoor plants. She thought she might be able to reach Gloria. She thought she might be able to hit the alligator on the snout or distract it somehow. Maybe even stab it.
Exactly. Even if it was like a little alligator, if it bit someone and pulled them in the water, they're going to have injury. Send a freaking ambulance. It's like, oh, it's a 10-foot gator. No, we're not going to mess with that. Like, what kind of question is that?
In the eyes, but when she turned back to the water with the pole in her hands, Gloria had disappeared. She had been dragged beneath the surface once more, but this time, however, she never resurfaced. Emergency services arrived on scene within a few minutes. Sheriff Ken Mascara and his team located Gloria's body shortly afterwards. The alligator released her, but tragically, she had drowned. Wildlife
Because they were busy asking how big the alligator was.
experts and a professional trapper were sent to the site to capture Henry. Suddenly,
And I feel bad for Henry, too, because Gloria and Trooper should not have been... Not only should they not have been forced to be down by the water like that, they probably should have been allowed by the water like that, at least while that gator was present in the water.
The entire community was flooded with people trying to understand the situation and capture the responsible alligator. A helicopter circled overhead, while teams on boats headed to the lakeshore. They found the alligator at the bottom of the pond, caught it, and dragged...
And it was at that moment that poor Henry realized he fucked up. He saw a little furry animal that he wanted to eat, something bite-sized on the shore. He went in to get it, and there was a bigger animal there, and he missed the little animal, but the bigger animal fell, and he thought, well, I'm going to grab this and pull it in and eat it instead. And now and it wasn't his fault. She shouldn't have been there. The Spanish village people shouldn't have had their residents walking their dogs on the shorelines.
Dragged it to shore. 6 people wrestled with the alligator, securing its jaws and limbs with ropes before loading it into the trunk of a pickup truck to take it away for euthanasia.
He got euthanized.
Gloria's dog Trooper had survived the attack and came away unscathed. Over the following days, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission cleared the pond of 4 more alligators. With more than 1.3 million alligators across Florida,
Yeah, the place is responsible.
these dangerous reptiles are thought to inhabit nearly every body of fresh water in the state. Following the tragedy,
They'll put old people on the shoreline to feed alligators.
wildlife experts reiterated
poor
the
gator.
importance of keeping a safe distance from
He didn't know.
water edges and staying at least 15 to 20 feet away from an alligator if one is spotted. However, for Gloria, this advice had come too late. Despite the huge number of alligators in Florida, attacks remain relatively rare.
Yeah, this was not even like, this was an opportunistic, I missed the furry little animal I was going for. Oh, person just fell next to me. I'm going to eat that. This was not like he was going in to prey on Gloria. But still, humans should stay away from the water's edge, right? 10 feet minimum.
Over a 73-year period from 1948 to 2020.
Oh, Ryan, if you missed it at the beginning of this coverage, the Spanish, whatever, the place that she was living, the housing district, made her walk down by the water to let her dog potty. She was not allowed to go into the other areas.
There were 442 unprovoked incidents, 26 of which resulted in loss of human life. The past decade has averaged 8 unprovoked bites per year, serious enough to require medical treatment. Despite the fact that most residents in the community knew about the presence of the alligators, Gloria's family filed a lawsuit. They were shocked, saddened, and haunted by the way in which Gloria met her untimely end. But above all, they felt that her passing was entirely avoidable. There were no signs warning of the dangers of alligators in the water, and worst of all, they believed Gloria had been compelled to walk her dog in a hazardous area due to the estate's strict dog walking rules. According to the family's attorneys, Spanish Lakes knew of dangerous alligators and did nothing. They could have warned their residents. They could have had the alligator removed. Instead, they encouraged the residents to go to the shore of the retention pond with community benches and sent them to where the alligators are.
And people were down there feeding the alligators chicken, too. People were feeding these alligators. Henry was used to coming up to the shore and someone feeding him something. I'm not saying Gloria fed him. I have no idea. Probably not. But people were feeding them.
This was going to happen. It was preventable. The lawsuit seeks more than $50,000 in damages, but the amount is ultimately left to a jury. The dog exercise area that the owners of the estate, Wynn Building Corporation, insisted Gloria walked Trooper at was located more than a mile from her home. For this reason, her family felt like she was given no choice but to walk her dog around the pond. She walked Trooper 3 times a day, and so making the journey to the exercise area just wasn't practical for her. Wynn Building Corporation, the defendants in the case, also appeared to encourage people to spend time in and around the water, despite knowing that several large alligators lived there. They had placed benches on the banks, allowed fishing from the edges and from small boats, and allowed people to walk their dogs there. They were also aware that the residents fed the alligators, and they themselves and their employers also did on occasion. This likely socialized the alligators to human contact, teaching the animals to associate people with food, as well as downplaying the danger they posed to the public. In the end, it was the way in which Gloria was taken from them that haunted her family the most. Her son, Bill Surge, cannot shake the horrifying thought of his mother's final moments and what must have been going through her mind as she fought for survival. No child should have to bury their mom under such horrible circumstances, he said. Gloria's funeral was held on February 28, 2023, at St. Francis de Chantal RC Church in New York. It was a somber occasion where family and friends gathered
You go to New York, you don't get buried where there's alligators.
to honor her memory and celebrate her well-lived life. Gloria Surge's untimely passing has left an indelible mark on her family and the community of Spanish Lakes Fairways. As her family continues to seek justice through their lawsuit, they aim to prevent similar tragedies in the future and hold accountable those responsible for the conditions that led to Gloria's fatal encounter.
I'm kind of curious if there's still like benches and stuff down by the water. I guess I don't have to be curious anymore. There's one right there. The first place we dropped down at. Little platforms to stand on, like little decks. Lots of people have little decks. Oh. Gloria had a little platform too behind her house. Look at that. So she'd go into the backyard here and just kind of walk around. That person still has a little John boat. I mean, I guess they removed the alligators, but this is Florida. Alligator's going to come back. Alligators could come from over here. Look at all the bodies of water around. Lots of places for alligators to come visit from. Huge body of water over there, but it's full of gators. Yeah. Anyway, that's been Bree's Bestiary for today. I don't know what we have. We don't have anything set up for next week yet, so we'll see what I decide. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing the man-eater thing or not. I wanted to, but I'm getting kind of burned out on it. If I'll maybe do a poll about that instead of just having you just pick which one. I'll do a poll about whether if you want me to do something different in Bree's Bestiary. I mean, we could go back and do a Paleo Peak or a Strange Science or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. But appreciate everybody for tuning in. I appreciate everybody for dropping by and hanging out. It's been a fun show. Got a pretty steady flow of viewers. Got some love from Eric Wanderer. And yeah, appreciate it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go get something to eat. Appreciate everybody. Remember, again, it's the end of the show. Next week, this is gonna be the last time you see me in this room. Because next week I should be in the new place. Next week, knocking on wood. But yeah, see. All right. See you next week.
With all the noise, pseudoscience, and political rhetoric clogging the airwaves about transgender people, it can be difficult to understand what's really happening and what's really true. Good news, everyone! Welcome to The Transpositions, your compass in the rugged landscape of transgender issues. Here, we strive to be the beacon of authenticity, providing a platform that amplifies the voices and experiences of the transgender community. From breaking news to in-depth features to breaking down the real science, we are committed to fostering understanding, empathy, and empowerment for all individuals across the gender spectrum. Join us as we navigate the complexities, celebrate the triumphs, and advocate for the rights of transgender people worldwide. Together, we can redefine boundaries, challenge stereotypes, and champion inclusivity. Subscribe today. The link is in the description.